orbit. Got my C-64 and we blew it into orbit. M. Bison with 8 straight perfects. Overbold emotions make hate break circuits. In case you heard, it's a name fake service. Optimized our runtime to escape verdicts. Got an integer scope flow that they can't sign. Passing code, didn't sanitize command lines, landmine. So before they'll see me after, I'm advice star, courage, woke plus velociraptor. Don't prove we're human unless we really have to. My team built schemes that destroy, recapture. Hate what they see. Finish this chapter. By the way, we're not any geeks, we hack into NASA. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring. I'm just waiting till my BlackBerry dies, cause I'll replace it with the Raspberry Pi. Don't compare to this track, it makes everything they said dull. Neutralize any threat, turn Red Skull to Dev Null. They killed virus writers that we mentioned, but instead they ascended to the VX heavens, then reincarnate as live wires. Still inside we hide ciphers and sign device drivers. Which school will we hit next? They didn't learn the format, so we've got to print F. Next step is a chin check. Freestyles that I spit best, they didn't decrypt yet. I crush internet MCs and rhyme battles. Get your Wi-Fi tackled, hacked by pineapple. I don't think you'll like my Snapple, cause I popped it with vodka in a cyanide capsule. We drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things.
You know there's gonna be security, right?
First we drink all the booze, then hack all the things. Then backdoor the firmware on anything you bring, regardless of the hardware, service or encoding. Connected to the internet and someone's gonna own it. This is for the pirates that clap and love the sound. Attacking from the cloud, then we're back in underground. There's no masking from us now. We pop tour nodes around the globe, track and hunt you down. Packed on schedule, add it to your calendar. Devices online, here comes another challenger. State infiltrated, so undercover. This is for my comrades who stare at the debuggers and trace every buffer. Examining the code flow, haven't been to sleep, better pop another no-dose. I think I'll need a planet-sized urn, cause some men just wanna watch the world burn. Your turn.
Stay out of jail.
Technologically possible, yeah.
Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring.
I mean, these servers have more firewalls than the devil's bedroom.
Hack all the things. Drink all the booze. Hack all the things. Hack all the things. Hack all the things. Things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring. Hack all the things.
Yeah, well, good luck, man. Not every geek with a Commodore 64 can hack into NASA.
This one's dedicated to all the hackers. Yo, even out, settle scores quick.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to UHC tonight. UHC CTF is on. We are on. If you don't know what UHC CTF or each of those separately are, don't worry, I'm going to explain a little bit about everything. before we actually start the CTF. For those who don't know me, I'm Marina Chavara. I am a social engineer. I'm specialized in physical pen tests or physical invasions, whatever you like to call it. If you didn't understood a single word of what I said just now, it's okay. We used to say, at least I used to say that not knowing whatever the hell is going on is the first step of hacking. So you are already on the right path. So tonight we are going to have a live hacking CTF going on here. UHC means Ultimate Hacking Championship. It is this Brazilian CTF that started as kind of a joke, actually, just kind of like, the Brazilian original host just playing around on Twitch and, doing some hack the boxes challenges and stuff like that. So he found a few crazy people that would develop challenges, personalized challenges for each week for himself to stream. And then UHC was born. And it's crazy because UHC brings together, a little bit of hacking and a little bit of esports. It is not common to see, CTFs being narrated live on Twitch, which is something that usually you see on gaming, you see on esports. So we try to bring those two words together. So tonight we're going to have a CTF. For those who don't know what CTF is, it's Capture the Flag. It is a format known in several kinds of games, including video games as well. But for this CTF, it is a hacking CTF. So the challenges here are technical challenges. So our players tonight are going to be solving technical challenges, breaking into systems to achieve, to grab the flags or the correct answers and submit them for points. So whoever has more points at the end of our night wins. The CTF can go up to 3 hours. But it is not unusual for us to see that the CTF ending up earlier. I mean, we've seen Kawe once, one of our players, doing it on a record of 20 minutes. So that was crazy. So you might see a record tonight or not. We don't actually know. That's the funny part. So we are going to have the CTF going on. I'm also Brazilian. It's not just the CTF that is Brazilian. So if you see me struggle with English a little bit, that's the reason. So we use CTF as a learning platform. We're trying to make a CTF an official esports. You can check UHC on its social media profiles if you like. If you liked the idea, if you want to be part of UHC, know a little bit more about CTF or UHC itself, you can follow us on whichever social media you prefer. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch. Discord is the most common one because in Discord is where the qualifying rounds actually happen. And everyone's there just chatting and learning together. So the Discord channel is the best one. If you would like to have the links, you just have to type exclamation point commands in the chat, and the bot is going to give you the right links. So that's pretty much it. I would like to thank the sponsors and partners of UHC for making it possible for UHC to happen. We have our, logos up here. We have Hacking Esports. Hacking Esports is actually the organizer of UHC. It's the company that the creator of UHC founded for him to organize a bunch of CTFs like this. And then we have Axe Labs. Also a Brazilian company. Crowsec, also a Brazilian company. Bug Hunt, also a Brazilian company. And of course at Hecate Inc., which is my company. So you guessed right, also a Brazilian company. But that doesn't mean you can't, if you have like a company that would be interested in sponsoring a live CTF, I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, please come talk to us. That is pretty much it. Oh, and also that's really cool for me to say that UHC also works as a hiring platform. A lot of people from companies usually watch UHC to hire the players, which is pretty cool. Well, I talked a lot already, so I'm gonna call my co-host tonight here on screen to help me and shut me up a little bit. We're having on screen Duo Core Music. I mean, Int 80 from Duo Core. Hi.
Hey, looking good as always.
Thank you, husband.
Oh, I meant me.
You little. I mean, get the heck out of my stream. He doesn't deserve to be in my screen. That was just fucking rude. How dare you?
Hey, don't deny it. You agree.
I mean, you do look good as hell. All right.
I'm super excited for this week. Going into every week, we never know anything about the challenges, but I'm looking at the players that we've got, and we'll run through the players here coming up. But we've got some returning champions, some folks with some pretty heavy skills, and we've got a special guest host this week, which I'm also very excited about. And it's just been a pretty good week in general. I want to give a shout out to the folks in the chat. Why not? Fernando, good to see y'all. Thanks for joining us again. Everybody else, we're happy to have you here with us.
Thank you all for being here with us. So you heard it from Int80, from Dual Core Music. If you don't know Dual Core Music, go check on any music streaming service that you can have access to, like Spotify, for example. Go there and check Dual Core. And he is actually a rapper that does rap music about hacking. Yes, you heard it right. I know, it's weird, but it's really freaking good. So you should definitely go check that out. And if you're a gamer and you like Watch Dogs, for example, he was on the official soundtrack of Watch Dogs 2. So you might have already heard him, which is pretty freaking cool as well.
Or if you caught the intro, you might have heard our music.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right. So let's bring our most amazing guest of the night, which is Dade. Hi, Dade.
Hi.
What up?
Hi. I'm excited. I'm excited now to know that this is like returning champions, because I just figured out how to share things on Instagram, and I said it was the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny. So now it really feels accurate,
It is.
Yeah. We sometimes have players that have been playing, UHC for a long time, or have never played UHC itself, but they are known CTF players, or they just never actually played CTF before and they are just newcomers. So we have all kinds of players. Usually we have, people that we already know from past UHC editions. But last edition we had 5 or 6 newcomers. It was like a big number of newcomers, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always cool to see what people bring. And I always am fascinated by seeing the different tools and the different platforms that the players use, right? Like I know for me personally, I've built my own custom Docker images in the past. I built my own custom VMs in the past. And I have my own stock methodology and preferences on tools. But then when we look at what the players do, it's amazing to see that they're using Windows in some cases, or Mac OS or Kali Linux or whatever, right? And I always find that fascinating. Dade, how about you? Do you have your own kind of customized platform that you use?
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to more than I do now. I definitely used to play a lot more CTF than I currently do, but I think the best thing that I did was I ended up setting up a Kali VM. People might be upset to learn this, but I use Windows as my daily driver. And so I set up a Kali VM, and basically I got all the tools I wanted on it, and I snapshotted it. And so then for every CTF, I can just save it. When the CTF is done, I just snapshot it, and then I have everything I need there. But then I can go back to kind of the pristine. A lot of CTFs have those really archaic challenges that you have to go install a an version of C that is like 18 years old and stuff like that. So it's cool to have like that fresh. Now I do everything in Windows subsystem for Linux and it works wonderfully. So
all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I see the Kali stuff in WSL now.
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so we're gonna start talking about the qualifying round and who got qualified for playing tonight's match. For those who don't know, UHC has a qualifying round for you to be able to play online here on Twitch. And the qualifying round happens on Discord. So if you want to participate, please go to the chat and type, commands, and the bot will give you the link, the Discord link. So the qualifying round happens every Saturday before the actual live goes on. And then 10 players are qualified to play tonight. And we're going to learn a little bit about them tonight, right now. I have my presentation.
All right, who we got?
Let's see who we got.
I'm always excited.
It's worthy to let you know that they are playing for a cash prize. So each week, the players go for cash prizes. It's not much money for whoever is living outside of Brazil. It's like 500 reais, which means around $100. But it's it's cool. You can if you play and you win every week of the month, it's like it may be $400 in your pocket. So that's really nice. All right, so let's see who we got here. Okay, we have Solution.
Yes.
And I just heard in the chat that Solution is actually a big fan of Dade, which is super cool.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of Brazilians in our in our chat right now saying hi to Dade. They really like Dade.
Yeah, you should make me the guest host, and just have me on once in a while and have Dade.
So Silesian is a player, and he is also he also helped the UHC staff to develop the machines that the players used for the qualifying round in the last edition. So that's really nice. The players also help build the CTF once they are not playing, of course. And in the other week, we had B narrating with the Brazilians on the Brazilian stream. So B is also a known player of UHC. He was not playing that night, and he was participating as a narrator. So that's pretty cool. You see the community, being active on helping UHC happens.
One shout out I want to give to Silesian is that the first week that they played in the finals, they actually won. So they were like 100% success rate at that point. It was amazing. So big ups. That was awesome. I hope you do it again this week.
It was just beautiful to see. He was like, he had the easy flag on early game, the mid flag on mid game, and the two hard ones on late game, which is just amazing timing for those who are fans of esports, is like just like I am. So I really appreciate the aesthetics there. All right, let's meet our next contestant. B. Oh, well, I was just talking about B. And it's really nice to see him here as well. B is also a known UHC player. He also helps the staff whenever he's not playing, and he also won a few UHCs as well.
Yeah, be a really sharp competitor and also just impressive language skills. I remember there was one time we were doing the debrief at the end. So every time we finish UHC, we go through what the challenges were and how to solve them. And B went on like translating for like 20 minutes of like exactly step by step what the winner said at that point. So also super excited to see B here playing.
It was just amazing skills. I mean, I was actually very impressed with him as well.
Bilingual.
All right. Bilingual. All right, let's see who we got next. We have Rafael Santos. Okay, I don't remember him. I'm thinking he's a newcomer, so we have our first newcomer from tonight.
Nice. Good luck.
Good luck. And we have Luska. Luska is not a newcomer. He is also not a super CTF expert, but he has been playing every week, which is amazing. It means he is qualifying week after week, and he is getting better week after week. We have already seen him going into the scoreboard a few times already. So I really like him. I really like to see him develop, throughout the competition. That's really nice.
Yeah, I want to say last week, Luska actually got first blood. Is that right? Am I remembering correctly?
I don't remember, but I think you might be correct.
If not, they were definitely on the scoreboard early, which either way is super impressive.
Yes, it is. Let's see who we have more. Oh, well, we have Afonso. Oh, tonight is like Titans night. Okay, Afonso is a non-player. I think he was here in the chat earlier. Yep, he was just here. He is.
Yeah, and Alfonso, we love. Alfonso won what 3 times, I think, and
yes, he is a 3 times winner. Yes,
Alfonso, like really talented, does like a lot of cool stuff. Always really fun to watch Alfonso screen. But one of the reasons that we love Alfonso is because Alfonso will just sit on flags and won't submit them into the scoreboard, which is like so precarious in this particular setup, right? You've got a time limited CTF and you're literally like in a race against the clock against all your competitors as well. So if one of those competitors gets those flags in ahead of you, then you end up not winning. The competitor wins.
Because that's the catch. In UHC, whoever gets the points first, even if it's a tie, the people who scored first has the advantage. So if you sit on flags and you don't have enough flags to, go beyond your competitor's points, you lose because they scored first. So that is a very dangerous strategy. And he keeps on doing that, which is just the audacity, the confidence is just amazing to see.
I love it.
All right, let's see who else we have here. All right, Gabriel Vernilo, also a non-player. He plays, once in a while, so also not a newcomer. And he does well. We've seen him sometimes in the scoreboard. Ricardo, I think he played a few editions, right?
I've definitely seen the name before.
Yeah, I've seen his name before.
Welcome back. We're happy to have you.
We have Big Zero Us.
Yeah, I never knew how to pronounce this person's name, so I think we'll just call him Big for short.
Big. Yeah. We have Big here, and also not a newcomer, but also not that much of a veteran. I think I've only seen him like in one other edition or 2, maybe. So yeah, he's building here his UHC CTF career.
And yeah, question in the chat from Frankus, if I'm getting your name wrong, but yes, I believe all of the players are from Brazil. The CTF is created by folks from Brazil, and we are just kind of the English counterpart here, the American counterpart, if you will.
Yes. All right. Let's see who else we have here. Talison, another newcomer. So welcome to UHC, Talison. We have Felipe Vasque, also another newcomer. So welcome as well. I hope you have fun tonight. And that's it. We have our 10 players of tonight's match. And I've already heard that the actual match has started. So let me just go to my Discord here real quick.
Dope.
And we can check the championship. All right, we are on. We have already started.
Awesome. All right, let's start watching the player screen.
Should we start by solution?
Sure. So yeah, the setup that we've got here is that all of the players are in Discord, but they're in their separate channels, and that allows us to view their screens and see what they're doing, but the players cannot view each other's screens, right? So a player might be able to snipe a flag out of like watching this stream, but they can't just like go snoop on a fellow player. And Winox with a good point in the chat, like the pre-qual or the qualifying rounds or whatever, the preliminary rounds are open to everybody. Anybody could play this. It's not just Brazilians.
Yes. the machines are built in Portuguese, but I mean, once Entity already told me here, like codes are codes. If you understand the basics, you can navigate through the challenges without too much trouble.
It sounds kind of fun playing a CTF in a different language, just like a whole different set of challenges, that
there's some additional complexity of like parsing, what the context clues are from the other language, right?
I think that sounds fun. I think that now that I've been a guest, I'm going to be a competitor. I think is
you heard it here first, UHC.
Yeah.
Next week you got to compete with Dade.
Exactly.
Dade's gonna be on Saturday.
Y'all from the chat, just clip this. Just right now, clip this part so we have it like registered.
I'm just gonna be real quiet from now on. I gotta be careful what I say. I didn't know I was committing there. That was my bad, guys.
Everything out of context. Don't you worry. So we're currently seeing Salacian working on this first flag. Recon, I think, was the name of the flag, which that's how pretty much all of our operations start, right? The first step to owning a target is recon, according to our good friend Dr. Raid. And it looks like they're kind of Salacian is just kind of doing the normal stuff here, running GoBuster, trying to identify different parts of the web application that they might be able to target. Dade, what's your go-to for web app enumeration? Are you a GoBuster fan?
My big fan. I'm a big fan of Fuff, which actually B is using Fuff right now. I love it. It's my favorite. I think it's the same challenge. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. And it's just GoBuster is cool. Dirbuster, Dir Search, all these different like tools. I think that Fuff is like by far the most capable. It allows you to do the most, and it's very fast at what it does. It's lock you out of things very quickly fast, which is wonderful.
Instant lockout.
Yeah, and like one of the things that like if you aren't familiar with Fuff, like I think the thing that I like the most about it is like you can fuzz a directory name or a file name, sure, but you can also fuzz username, a password, anything that you can stuff into a header. All of that works with Fuff. So it's like it took the directory brute forcing and it just took it one step further, like to the next logical step. It's great.
Yeah, and I completely agree with everything that you said. Fuff is my go-to as well. Before Fuff, GoBuster was my main, and yep. I thought GoBuster was just like turbo fast, and then when I started using Fuff, I was just like, holy smokes! And like pressed back to the seat because the acceleration was just out of this world.
Yeah.
So I was curious, and I've never looked into the code base, but I was always curious about how Fuff managed to be so much faster, or just faster than GoBuster. Not like not excessively faster, but it's just faster.
It's faster, but if you alt tab, you're probably not going to notice the difference in how fast it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to OJ, by the way. OJ's great. GoBuster's great. Yes. I think the other thing I like about Fuff is that it's insulting me. Fuzz faster, you fool. I like that about it. That's respectable. The
little negative reinforcement there, like you fool, like fuzz faster. Yeah, absolutely. And as well, like you said, big fan of OJ and all the work that OJ has done over the years. Some incredible pull requests to some open source projects, and especially like Metasploit.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, I mean, it's the hacker using the tools is what matters. Like, you can use Fuff, you can use GoBuster, you can use Dirbuster, you can use Dir, but you can use Dir Search. There's all these different ways to enumerate stuff. What's there's the one that I always see that I don't do much web app enumeration anymore, but there's like the whole it starts with a P. It's like Project Discovery, I think, is what it's called. Have you seen any of those tools? There's like Chaos X or Chaos HTTPX. There's like a whole suite of tools.
I think
the bug bounty kids do it all the time.
Yeah, I think I saw something come out of it with the bug bounty and stuff. I haven't really looked at them. I haven't used them personally, but I think that especially in a situation like this where competitors are kind of live against each other in a very short time period, right? Because like if the CTF only runs for 3 hours, that's 21 hours less than most short CTFs. And so like I think that the right tool for the job is the one that you have to spend the least amount of time figuring out how to use in this case. But
yeah, and Shell or S Shell, sorry, I never knew how your handle is pronounced. But in the chat saying that Project Discovery is wild with how much high quality stuff they've released, and you're absolutely right. And it's wild seeing like folks pipe all these tools into each other and then just come out with like amazing results in the end. So like really, really dope stuff being created right now. And like we've been hacking for 20 plus years, right? And like still people are making like amazing strides in progressing offensive capabilities, which just keeps me very happy.
Yeah. I see some people like, oh, you're reinventing the wheel, but like the reality is, if the wheel wasn't very round, then you might as well round off a few more edges, and like eventually we're gonna have a very good wheel. So
absolutely.
I think that's
I just want to add something real quick here, just because. Thank you. Sorry, as I just was receiving some love from the chat. You can continue to
as you deserve. Well, yeah, that's like one of the things that I always love about information security is that it's always changing, right? And so I definitely understand people feeling burned out, but at the same time, there's always something new for me to learn. There's something that I don't know. There's somebody that's like making some improvement somewhere that I'm excited about. And so I always have that appreciation for the field.
Yeah. And I think like kind of almost on the converse of that, or the inverse of that is like, not only are things always changing, but like it's very frequent that you find a bug or not so much a bug class anymore, but like bugs that are wide impacting that have been there for 10, 20 years. Like I think that new Solaris SSH 0-day was like, that was like very old, and it's incredible that like there's so much. I think it really goes to show like, no matter how much we innovate and how much we work at it, there's like so much attack surface out there and so many interesting things to look at that you can be a brand new beginner today. And in 2 or 3 months, you can have groundbreaking research. Like that's not out of the realm of possibility in InfoSec. So I love that about it,
Absolutely. And to your point, a few weeks ago, we had on a teenager, a 14-year-old from Brazil, who had found a bug in Instagram and got $25,000 from Instagram for it. Man. And when I think of like social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they have like large security teams. They put massive amounts of resources into securing their platform and protecting user data. And yet a 14-year-old kid found this bug and got 14 or 25 grand from it. I mean, that's wild to me.
Yeah. Yep. It's the hackers can always look kind of between the seams, and like businesses don't really get that benefit. They're like, well, this is what I did, and I hand it over to the next team to integrate it. And so like honestly, especially like kids who are interested in hacking and kids of hackers are like very scary to me, because I mean I got interested in computers. I think I first got interested when I was about 10. And I didn't have anybody to learn from, didn't have anything to teach me. I was on dial-up until 2007. And so like, I didn't have a lot of resources, and I just kind of struggled. And nowadays, like there's so much available. Like you can be very, very young and be very, very talented so easily now. Like there's just so much to learn from. And like that's, I think when the next generation of kids make it into the industry, it's going to be a game changer,
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the script is going to get flipped like hardcore.
What is crazy to me actually is like this kid, for example, he was like already studying stuff, hacking stuff when he was 12. I mean, of course, the access to technology nowadays is way easier, but it's also quite hard for people to focus their studies and find, what they need to find because of the overload of information you find online. So this new generation do struggle a little bit with that. But what actually fascinated me about that kid is that the parents are not into tech. But the parents were supporting him, which is crazy to me. I mean, if I ever told my mom what I actually do for my job, she would,
Yeah.
and I already tried to. she doesn't completely understand it, but she would freak the fuck out if I told her, Mom, I break and enter as my as my official job. She would not be very happy. But this kid's parents, they were supporting him. And the night that he submitted the vulnerability, he just woke his parents up because he got the email back from Instagram telling he got the bounty. And he just woke his parents in the middle of the night to tell them that. And that kind of support is crazy. I mean, back in the day, even nowadays, parents have absolutely no idea what their kids are doing with the computer. And in this case, I was just very surprised with that.
Yeah, like I can't imagine when I was a kid, like I got in trouble because I stole my friend's dial-up information to dial up to the internet. Found out it was long distance that end of that month, and I was in a lot of trouble. But but I can't imagine. Like I would sneak out after bedtime. I would sneak back out to the office and get on the computer. And we had one of those external modems, and I didn't know how to turn it off. I didn't know how to turn the sound off, so I'd smother it with a pillow while it was dialing up.
Yes.
And if my parents came out,
sound.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if my parents came out, it was just what are they? Hey, what are you doing, Dade? Oh, just hacking Instagram. No, I would have been in so much trouble. It's amazing that you can have, especially non-technical parents, and explain this in such a way that that is something that you can just totally legally do now. Is it reminds me of the opening in Hackers, what are you doing, Dade? Just taking over a TV network. All right, well, finish up and get some rest, honey. Oh, okay.
It is really nice that nowadays, since security is a little bit more mainstream and hacking as well, I'm saying a little bit now because we, also struggle with the, representation and all. Mm-hmm. But with hacking and security being a little bit more mainstream, I already have this experience of trying to explain to my family some things that are happening. So my mom the other day just hit me up with a few questions about privacy because she just watched this Netflix special. I think it's the Social Dilemma or something.
Oh yeah, the Social Dilemma.
And she got freaked out by that. And she's like, "Oh, you have no idea." I'm like, "Mom, not only I have ideas, but I've been telling you that shit for I don't know, 5 years already." And suddenly I was talking about, Snowden with her, and things like that, and Stuxnet. I was explaining Stuxnet to my mother, and she was actually paying attention. And I just stopped right there. I was like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" I mean, I have no idea what happened here. And another thing also very funny that happened was my aunt, which has absolutely no knowledge of technology whatsoever. She saw in the news this dark web gang was caught up, whatever, was arrested. And she texted me, "Marina, how can I install Tor? I want to go into the dark web." And I'm like, "What the hell is happening right now? I have no idea what's going on."
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I think the Social Dilemma is actually, that's kind of an interesting thing to bring up because I went to see my family in the Midwest over the, like a few weeks ago. And one of the things that I overheard in the airport was just a bunch of random people talking about like privacy violations of Facebook and Twitter and like what they're doing to like target. And it's just like, I think that Netflix specials are going to be what brings brings security to the masses, you know, like
brings awareness.
and like I think that's true. Like I think that, you know, even Twitch is doing it. You know, you have like popular bug bounties hunters like Nahamsek and Stoke and like all these different people who are just like doing this live content and like they're trying to turn hacking into something they're trying to more accurately capture the fun of hacking that you otherwise wouldn't get unless you were actually doing it. And I think that that's, you know, I think that's good for us. I think that's good for the community.
Yes, it is. I agree.
Yeah, I feel like there's two different sides to it, right? Like accurately portraying what hackers are like in general is good because people will be like, oh yeah, like y'all are just regular human beings, no problem, right? So you kind of like humanize it. At the same time, I feel like it's going to be off-putting to a lot of folks because like, so you literally just spend like 99% of your time looking things up on the internet because you don't already know how to hack it. That doesn't seem fun.
I mean, that's good, right? You're eliminating the people that should not be there because they have absolutely no real interest in it.
Yeah, but I think disagree. I think it lowers the bar, which I think is okay.
Exactly. I also like that idea.
You know, anybody can Google.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that as long as you can look at your own motivations internally and embrace those and be okay with those, then like that's fine. Like there is no like you have to be a crafty, shady person to be involved in information security. Like if you're just straight up like, I want a good job with health insurance and I want to be able to like live in a house with a swimming pool. Like fine, that's your motivations, right? I know people that are not crafty, shady, criminal type people that are amazing InfoSec engineers. And I would like happily hire them in a heartbeat. I would love to work with them. And they're not, you know, trying to like, they're not sneaky and breaking into things. They're just like, I'm going to go to work for like 50 hours a week and I'm just going to absolutely crush it. And that's amazing to me. Like either way, the ends justify the means in that situation.
Yeah. Like that's, you know, I think that there is a lot of kind of gatekeeping in the community around that, particularly of like, oh, well, if you're not doing it to fuel your own curiosity, if you're not doing side projects outside of work, that sort of stuff. And like, I don't think that's like, okay, that might've been the way that you started and kind of had to be the way that it started. You know, 10 years ago, this industry was really, really small. 20 years ago, it was basically non-existent. Like there was a little bit going on there, you know, but like if you look at like the growth of DEF CON, for instance, look at like, you know, the content that came out in 2000, you know, that was DEF CON 8, which also just saying that out loud kind of made me feel like I was getting old, you know. But yeah, it just, you know, I think that as long as you know your reasons and you're cool with that, good for you, you know. I think that that's all that we really need. Yeah,
and then from there, once you embrace those motivations, like when you find the right role, then you're like off to the races. You're going to be super successful, right? As long as you can like keep that focus on this is why I have this position and it like aligns with what I enjoy doing, then you're gonna crush it. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. But that said, if you are crafty and shady, holler at me. Holler at your boy. You know.
If you are crafty and shady, join the gang.
If you would like to start a dark web gang with yours truly, holler at me.
All right, so here's an important rule of UHC is that we do not you know, give any stage or give any space to criminal acts, neither on the live stream or, you know, during the competition whatsoever, neither in the chat. You know, so that is very important for us to say. We are not judging. It's just, you know, it is a live stream. So if you're doing that, you know, online on Twitch, not the best criminal there.
Yes, yes. My dark web gang is an onion site where we share pictures of our cats. So
See, exactly, kids. Go to the dark web, share pictures of cats.
yeah.
Lolcat gang.
I'm
represent.
actually so I am a Reddit moderator for r/Black Hat, and I have been for 8 years now. And as a result, you may expect I get a lot of, how do I hack an email? How do I hack Instagram? Like that sort of stuff. And like, it's very fascinating to me. And I think something that a lot of people don't understand is like, okay, yeah, there's probably money in cybercrime and you probably have your motivations for that and all that. But like, there's more reliable money to be made in just working in security. Like, I get paid a very good salary. I have great benefits. Like, I don't have to look over my shoulder all the time, and that's wonderful. Like there's opportunities now, and so you take advantage of them and don't do crime. McGruff the cybercrime dog. So
kids, don't do crime.
Yeah, stay in school, drink your milk, don't do crime.
The official word on the street is crime. The unofficial word might vary different from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do appreciate, because I remember as a kid, like the only stories that I ever heard of people working in security were basically people that were not good at hacking. Like they broke into something and then they got caught. Like, are you good at hacking if you got caught? So,
yeah, that's
they got caught, and then either the FBI made them like work for the FBI, or the company that they got caught hacking into hired them as a security engineer or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, man, neither of those really sound like good outcomes to me. So I was like, I guess I'll just work as like an IT or a developer or something like that. Like there is no security position at that time, but now there is, and you get health insurance. It's super dope for Americans.
yeah. And now, like, I think that's another thing too, is like people look 20 years ago and like, oh yeah, we're so-and-so went to jail and then they got out and got a really good paying job. And like, that does happen, but that's not the norm anymore. Like despite popular opinion, there is enough of a pipeline that you don't you can probably still get a job. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you don't have to commit crimes to get a job now. Like, especially I think bug bounty really raised the bar on that one. Like now you can legally hack Fortune 100 companies and get paid very well for it. And if you don't get paid very well, at least you got a lot of experience at it. And like, that's going to translate to a job. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Bug Bounty, CTF are incredible learning platforms, just as we see with UHC. And here in UHC, actually, there are kids that are like 16, 17 that win UHC and then they get job offers from companies. In the chat, Shell or S Shell, sorry.
You just call him Shell.
Shell, all right, thank you. Shell saying someone talking about the other day, their felony kept them from getting the security job they wanted, right? And that is a guarantee. If you do get arrested, the one thing that you do get is a criminal record.
Yeah.
So it's like it could pan out, but it may not. And given the development in technology, where now we've got virtual machines and we've got Docker, and it's like it's cheap to spin up compute resources and network resources and all of this stuff, where in the past we had to go, pull stuff out of dumpsters and bring it home and Frankenstein machines together to get a testing environment. Now,
sorry.
Yeah, keep on.
For social engineering, I always get questions about people that want to start doing physical pen tests like I do, or they want to start on social engineering, on the attack part of it. And they always ask, like, how can I practice without going to jail? And I'm like, I don't actually know how can you practice break and entering without going to jail. You can try break and enter in your own house, or your friend's house. Just give them a heads up before entering the back door, so you don't get shot or other stuff. But for social engineering is a little bit more tricky to actually, put your skills into the training framing there. You know, we don't have much labs for social engineering. There is, you know, not many labs for physical pen tests.
Yeah.
But even so, it's nice that we're talking about it. You know, it's nice that someday maybe we'll see some hack the box for social engineers. I don't know. Who knows? That would be super cool. But I just wanted to, you know, put it out there. If you're a social engineer, if you're a kid with interest in social engineering, don't do anything stupid. Go talk with a mentor. Go talk with someone who actually does that for a living before putting your skills into practice. Because if you get caught, if you go to jail, that is like a really bad a really bad time that you're gonna have to serve. Because we're talking here about fraud. We're talking here about break and entering. We're talking here about things that can risk your own life. And not only about the criminal record. Of course, if you're gonna talk about the criminal record, I don't even have to say that the client, as soon as the client is gonna talk to you about invading, about breaking and entering their own company, and you have a criminal record, would you hire someone to break and enter your company?
I think a criminal record for breaking and entering is a little bit different than a criminal record of like, yeah, I found a bug and the company didn't like me very much. It's very different. But on the flip side, like now is also a great time for those things. Like you don't get the hands-on practice as much, but like I mean, you can get into lockpicking at home very easily, and like that's something that you can do. But then like there's just like a lot of like Deviant Ollam's videos, like a con talks, and like watch all this old resources and like everything that's ever come out of the social engineering village. And like you can go and absorb this content, and like you're going to be in a very good position compared to somebody who hasn't, even if you don't have hands-on experience, you have that knowledge. You can talk about it conversationally.
Exactly. Go look for mentors. Go look for people who do that for a living. Go look for content that they put out there. These people write books, they do talks and conferences. So if you're interested in social engineering, go for the study first. Yep. And as soon as you feel a little bit more comfortable, you talk to someone who actually works with it, and then you can chat about actually putting your skills into practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're working on like physical entry stuff, I mean, you can pick locks while you watch Netflix or Hulu or whatever, right? You can work on stuff. Just don't work on something that is like that you're dependent on, right? Don't pick the lock on your actual house or a friend's house, because if you break that, that's bad, right? Then nobody can get into the house. So definitely like do it in a practice environment. But also with the social engineering stuff, I think it's possible to make up kind of like benign pretexts, right? Like if you say like, I just want to try to like go in the back room of Walmart and just like see if I can get into their back office, right? If you like, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not your lawyer, so I don't know if this is legit, but you could like call them and just find out like what information do they have about.
I wouldn't advise that.
No, like I mean, like
no, I wouldn't unless you're male and white. I would not do anything.
She's got us there. We got a benefit,
Yeah. Fine. Well, okay. So my point was like imagine, okay, take out the physical part of it, right? And just say like, what like OSINT can I do? What could I convince somebody of? Like something really weird, like, okay, hey, like Taco Bell, we're gonna do like a firmware upgrade to your cash registers at like 2:30 a.m. after closing. Like, can I get your store number or something like that, just to make sure that we've got you enrolled for the firmware update, right? And that's like a harmless piece of information that nobody cares about. Who cares? You got the store number for Taco Bell, right?
Yeah, for OSINT and vishing, for OSINT and vishing, there's a little bit more of a wriggle. Is that how you say wiggle?
Wiggle room. Yeah.
Wiggle room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's Shell actually just pointed out the SECTF, which is like, your you do a lot of online recon and recon ahead of time, and then you make phone calls and you kind of collect information, and like that's really really great, and you can absolutely do that benignly. One of my favorite things when I was kind of starting to get into like the OSINT idea was at my old job, and I was authorized to do this in the context of my job, but like it wasn't directly applicable. Was I started to look at like, oh, I want to learn about the executives at the company, and like, I just
First blood.
Oh snap! All right, we gotta
Salesian got it.
check out who got the first blood.
Salesian did.
I didn't see. Really? Oh, I'm not watching Salesian. I was watching B. I was like, we're all watching Salesian, except for me.
All right.
So let's see. And this is fascinating because in the previous few weeks, the first blood has occurred.
All right, so see, he's asking for us to go out of his stream.
Oh, he doesn't want to leak the flag. Yeah.
So
okay,
he doesn't want to leak the flag. So here's our scoreboard so far. So Salesian, once again in early game, got the easy flag with 100 points now in the score. He is the only one so far, which, from the past editions, we have been getting a little bit more people on the scoreboard in the early game. So I'm guessing tonight's machines are a little bit more harder. But we got him there on the scoreboard with 100 points. So he got the easy flag now. Salesian on first place. And that's pretty cool. He is the one player that I've been talking about. He has a really good esports timing. So I think we can expect for him to, score one more flag in mid game. I'm here cheering, Salesian.
Yeah, but if he doesn't go get Baron right away, then it's really going to be a problem. Like, you got first blood, go get Baron, finish it off. Let's see the game.
Hello, League of Legends for y'all.
I'm 100% sure that strategy is a bad one, by the way. Don't do that strategy.
Yeah, and to y'all's point, which you're talking about before with the SE CTF, there's also OSINT CTF. And I played OSINT CTF at a number of conferences, primarily NolaCon and DerbyCon in the past. And it's run by, the ones that I played, they're run by the Silvers, Chris Silvers, and also Chris's husband, Chris. So Chris and Chris Silvers. And it has also been like an amazing experience, right? Where you kind of like, you learn new sites and new applications and just kind of different ways to like search for things. Like one of my favorite challenges in OSINT CTF is when they ask for when was a particular person married, right? And so to me, that like, I would just go search for like wedding date or wedding certificates or whatever, marriage certificates, right? But then you could also search for like anniversary or, like X years ago. And you can find people posting on Twitter where they say like, 20 years ago, I got married to like this person or something. And sometimes it's, there's a part of it as well as to like how to play CTF, right? So you might see them play, post on Twitter like, oh yeah, 20 years ago, I got married to so-and-so, but then there's like a time zone difference. And so technically they actually got married like the day before they tweeted or something like that. And so you got to just kind of think like, okay, if I put in like this date from the tweet, April 19th minus 20 years, April 19th, 2000 in this case, and I don't get the flag, maybe it was like April 18th or something like that. So I always appreciate that as well. Granted, it's CTF, right? So you're just kind of like out to get flags. You're not writing a professional report where you have to be concerned with, the utmost precision and accuracy. I see we've got Team B in the chat. We're cheering for B as well. Bilingual.
Never gonna get tired of that one. Honestly, I enjoy that. Yeah. Do we get to talk about the challenges specifically? Can I like talk about what they're specifically doing? I don't want to like leak stuff to other players if I can help it.
No. You can totally talk about whatever you want. We don't have any rules about not giving hints or not leaking stuff because we, the narrators, we don't actually know what the challenges are.
Okay, cool.
So, and that's part of the strategy. I mean, the players are probably listening to both of the streams to see if they get hints from the streams. And that's a little bit of a mind game right there because you got to pay attention to what you're doing. You got to pay attention to the scoreboard. You got to pay attention to the Brazilian live stream. And you got to have a brain that also, go for the the English live stream to try and take, any content out of there. So it's part of the mind game that we can or cannot give any hints while we are narrating the challenges.
Welcome to the gauntlet.
Yeah. I think the my first comment is that I'm not surprised that the flags are in a PHP app. That's at least this. I think the first flag that the recon people are working on. I see a lot of PHP. It's almost as fun as seeing Cold Fusion, so I appreciate it.
Hey, I used to write Cold Fusion back in the day.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I'm just saying I've been in a lot of Cold Fusion apps is all I'm saying,
And some really good bugs in Cold Fusion. We haven't seen Cold Fusion at all in the UHC finales that we've been working on. And
I don't think I've ever
seen
seen it in a
one.
CTF. Like
I've seen it in a couple kind of like network-based CTFs, something like you would see for like Hack the Box sort of. And I think actually I did do a box on Hack the Box that had it. I feel like maybe it was I think it was Hack the Box. But yeah, and I forget what I think there's like a couple different bugs in the admin setup of Cold Fusion, but yeah, and I feel like for the people that play UHC, they might not have exposure to Cold Fusion. They might be like young enough where they're like, what is this? I've never heard of this before.
Good. My bad for bringing it up. I don't want to encourage anybody to go find that one. But yeah, I think that, it's interesting seeing a lot of people doing the recon. I think there's a lot of commonalities with what people are doing, directory brute forcing. And I think across the board, it's mostly like FUF and Go Buster working. But there's other kinds of recon that we're also seeing. We're seeing people looking for vulnerabilities in like Slim and looking for vulnerabilities in apps that are written in PHP and that are like common PHP frameworks, because that's, if you just find the CVE and that's what it is, like that's usually pretty good,
Yep.
CVE bugs are way more fun, way easier to exploit, and therefore I like them more than like, oh, here's like a super custom application bug that you have to go find the details of.
Yeah, I think you and I are very similar there, where we prefer kind of the quick hits where we can get into stuff easily without having to suss out all the details of the vulnerability that might be custom or whatever. And I will say that there were a few weeks where UHC, the target app was in Laravel, I think, but like back to back, so in the first week, I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Like it's a framework, it's got its bugs, whatever. But then they had a whole separate set of bugs in the application that were all like Laravel implementation bugs as well. So it's kind of cool seeing that like 2 weeks in a row. It was definitely unexpected, at least.
Yeah, that's I've kind of shifted from playing a lot of CTF to like making CTF challenges, and I like to go for kind of obscure things, like kind of introducing stuff that isn't commonly talked about now, which like I think Laravel like a little bit, I'm sure in the PHP community people are still talking about it. I just think like the broader community at large, people aren't talking about PHP as much.
I would just like to say that we caught B submitting the flag right now on screen. So now B is also on our scoreboard with 100 points. That was pretty cool.
Yay, B.
Excellent.
So now
Heck
our
yeah.
scoreboard is first place Legion with 100 points. So that was the easy flag, and B with also 100 points from the easy flag as well in second place. So we have those two players on the scoreboard right now. And we are just finishing the early game. We are now going to enter in just a couple minutes in the mid game. So this is a tough night for our players. We only have 2 people out of 10 in their scoreboard.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm watching Gabriel. I'm gonna butcher it. I apologize.
You can go for it.
he's having VPN problems, and it was wonderful because I got to see him netcat into a server on port 80 and try to manually issue an HTTP command to see if it would work or not. And like that's just I like that kind of debugging technique. That was great.
Yeah, you got to strip away like all of the top layer stuff and just make sure that at the base level everything is working.
Yeah, looks like a bit of a problem there.
Yeah, see
hopefully
the Open VPN. Yeah. And we've had that in the past. So one of the rules here at UHC is that players have to share their screen all the time, and if you go for more than 5 minutes without sharing your screen, that disqualifies you. And so we've seen players with internet connectivity issues, and they can't even get the screen sharing to work, and then they end up getting booted as a result. So and we've seen this as well with the VPN connectivity. So hopefully everything pans out okay here, and Gabriel is able to get back into it.
So Luska also just got points. So in the early game, in the last minute of the early game, Luska submitted the easy flag and got the 100 points. So now we have 3 players in our scoreboard. Silesian is the first one, B second, Luska third, all with 100 points from the easy flag. All right.
And for folks watching, we don't know who's doing what at any particular moment in time, so we often miss folks catching the flags. But at the very end, we end up rating into the Brazilian UHC stream, and then they do like a debrief. And so we get kind of the explanation from the winner or the hosts as to what the challenges were and how they were intended to be solved and how they did get solved. So make sure you stay with us through the night, and that way we end up learning everything together.
Yeah, there's honestly nothing more satisfying than spending all that time on a challenge and then finding out how to do it afterwards. Like that, I love submitting flags, but I love finding out what I was doing wrong when I was trying to get a flag even more. Like that's what I like about CTFs. Yeah, I'm
the same. I love going to read the write-ups after the CTF is over. And then I always learn something, right? Whether it's a new tool that I didn't know about, or what people were anticipating, or whatever. There's always something new there for me to learn. And that's basically one of the ways that I learn things, kind of this deliberate practice where I go and I take on a challenge and I work my way through it and I learn stuff, but then I go back and look at what everybody else did. That was basically how I learned reverse engineering. Is I would do all these crackmes on crackmes.de, and I would do the challenge. I'd submit the write up, and then I would go read everybody else's write up and see how did they solve it. And sometimes there's a different technique or there's a different tool, but I kind of at that point I've got the understanding of what the core crux of the problems are. And then I kind of figure out different ways to solve it based on what other people have submitted, and super helpful in that case. So yeah, definitely stick with us, and we'll end up covering both in Brazilian Portuguese and English what the challenges and the solutions were.
Yeah, and I think another interesting part of it is especially now that I've kind of been into the creating challenges side of it, is when a team does something so completely different from what was intended to get the flag, and it works, that is just so, it's my favorite thing, is just a completely unintended solution, especially if it's novel. There have been a few. I didn't get first place in the CTF at HushCon last year, but only because the first place team noticed that the scoreboard leaks all the flags, and there's nothing wrong with just doing that. Like that was in scope for the CTF. So they got all the flags. Like otherwise we would have gotten first, I think. But like the completely novel concepts of like, oh yeah, we found this and that's how we got the flag. And like that's I love it. Because you get so far into your own head, of like this is how to do it, and then you don't even see the other picture.
Absolutely. In my last job, I would build CTFs with my team, and then we'd run 3 different instances of it. And it was just kind of a broader audience each time. But I took some of those CTF challenges and I ran them at a different CTF. And this is like, these particular challenges must have been played, at least like 3 to 5 times already. And at this other CTF that I ran some of these challenges at, people were solving them in completely new and novel ways that I hadn't even considered or seen before. And just like you said, that's like so fascinating to me as a CTF creator to learn like how other players think about the challenges and go about solving them in completely unique ways.
Yeah. It's pretty neat thing about CTF, in a lot of cases, even in like a bug bounty and pen test teams and stuff, like you don't really get the same, like you don't get that experience. You can go and you can find cool bugs and you submit it and they'll like fix it, but like you don't get the joy of seeing how other people have done something. So it's
absolutely. And I think about that as well, just as a general application for information security, right? If you want to be really good at security, you kind of got to understand both sides. So it's kind of, I always think of it as like this cycle where, like you build something and then you figure out how to break it, and then you figure out how to like patch that and like rebuild it so that you then like go back and look at it again as to like how to break it. And through that iteration, you end up making so much more improvement. And so same thing, right? Like for pen testers, they're like really good pen testers that just only have the breaking experience. But the folks that I know that are like really, really good at getting into stuff have an understanding of like how things are built. And I'm kind of like the same way where like when I look at a web app, I'm like, okay, if I were coding this web app, what would the code maybe look like in the back end? Or like what mistakes have I made on the back end in this kind of situation before?
We just got 4th blood. Allison got 4th. Looks like also the recon challenge.
Nice. Folks.
Who was it? Taliesin. All right.
Taliesin, yeah.
The newcomer is on the scoreboard with 100 points. He got the easy flag.
Yeah, folks out here watching, if you want to check the scoreboard with us, it's at UHC, as in Ultimate Hacking Championship, .seg, like Sierra, Echo,
Golf.
Golf, thank you. Or like the first part of the word segfault, UHC.seg.br. And so please follow along with us and keep an eye on the scoreboard. And if you see something cool happen, like definitely give a shout in the chat. But yeah, we've got 4 folks on the board already out of the 10, all with 100 points. And Silesian being there first is in first place. But yeah, so kind of Dave, going back to your point, I think that basically the roundabout way here of saying, my point is the roundabout way of saying that if you want to be better at CTFs, then like also make CTFs, right? Like being a CTF creator and a CTF challenge author will make you a better CTF player, because you'll have this idea of like what the challenge looks like on the back end. As a player, you're just kind of got this black box of like, it's just this mystery thing, data goes in, data comes out. Is it a flag? And you have no insight as to like what's actually happening inside that box. But as a CTF author, you kind of get some insight there, because you can think like, this is how I would make this challenge, or maybe here's what the person was intending when they made this challenge.
Yeah. And, if you want to write good software, write a lot of bad software. Like if you want to get good at breaking bad software, write a lot of bad software. Like the answer basically to all questions in computer science is write a lot of bad software. Eventually it will fix itself. Like eventually things will figure themselves out. It's That's not professional advice, by the way.
Yeah. Always write the best software that you can, unless
Yes.
it's supposed to be bad intentionally.
Yeah.
But you're right. I when I started, I was doing Cold Fusion stuff, and what I would do is I would write up whatever the client needed. So they would need an application that did X, Y, and Z, right? And I'd build that app. And then I would go look online for like, what are the web application attacks that are happening right now, right? And I'd be like, what is cross-site scripting? I don't know what that is. And so I'd just try that against my application. Okay, you can just put JavaScript here. Like if I put it here on this input on my application, does the JavaScript get pushed back to the browser and then, like execute? And I'm like, oh shoot, it does. Okay, how do I fix that? And then I'd like go back into my code that I wrote and I'd like change it. I'd be like, okay, cool. I fixed it. So now this JavaScript doesn't execute anymore. Like what actually happened there? And then I understand like this is what it looks like on both sides of the fence. Same with like SQL injection and cross-site request forgery. CSRF is kind of like when you first look at it, it's kind of like a weird thing. Same with SSRF, where you're just like, I don't understand exactly what's happening here. I get like something bad is going on, but like it takes a minute, or at least took me a minute to kind of like get my brain wrapped around exactly what all was happening. But once I got it, I was like, okay, I understand. And now I can go back and fix my applications to make sure that this doesn't happen. And so I think, like as having that understanding from the development side, that made me a better attacker when I wanted to go look at other applications and try to like exploit those vulnerabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting. Even coming in with that mindset of like, does the JavaScript actually, coming in and be like, oh yeah, does the JavaScript execute when I return it here and stuff like that is like, it's not really taught in school to think about that. And it's not really taught in a lot of like development classes to think like that, but like that question is what makes a security engineer, I think, like the ability to know when to ask that question and then like go find out the answer, I think is great.
Yeah. And on the, application security side of things, I always thought that you could pretty easily integrate that into the development side. It's just kind of test cases, right? Like, are you thinking about what the input might look like and then the effects that input has? So, you like, are your unit tests covering these like security issues potentially? And so that's kind of like a nice way, I feel like, to potentially offload security work from the InfoSec team and put it back and distribute it back out into all the application teams at your organization that are like building products or building services or whatever. So it's like, you could write once and be like, here, if you're building a web app, here are your unit test cases. If you're building a system application, here are your unit test cases. And then bam, like you publish that once, all those teams can take those testing frameworks or whatever or harnesses and utilize those and leverage them in their own code bases. And meanwhile, you don't have to go individually audit every single code base. It's like you've already set those application teams into thinking about what security considerations they should have in mind. And now they can continue building on that. And if you've got like centralized code versioning, you could then have teams contribute new test cases back into the unit test, right? So now like all the teams benefit from it, not just like the one that figured out, oh, here's like a gap that we needed to cover.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, I think we're about to start a podcast, 80. We keep this up, we're gonna have a podcast about software engineering of all things.
Well, I'm the last person that should be commenting on that. I'm a bad coder. I write hacker tools and that's about it.
Yeah, well, I think we all feel that way a little bit. It's I'm actually interesting. Like it's interesting. I'm watching. Like we said that there was a lot of FUF happening. And then there's also like a lot of people are using Burp and like Burp is probably one of the most powerful web app tools for sure. Like it can do so much. I can't claim to know all the things it can do or even most of the things it can do, but it's kind of an interesting, like, seeing people, if you're in burp, then you're mostly in burp. But if you're using FUF, then you're like mostly on the command line. It's an interesting kind of dichotomy there of people's approaches.
Yeah, and here we're seeing Alfonso running Zap, right? And so this is kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where people have their own ways of doing things, and they're using like different tools and whatever. But really, it's not the tools that make the hacker; it's the hacker using the tools that makes the hacker.
Yeah.
And so like we've seen Alfonso win several times, and I don't think that Alfonso would attribute their victories solely to Zap or solely to like any individual application. It's just their ability to use the application to achieve the ends for their means.
Yeah. Another thing that I like to see people doing, I like to see the dev tools open in the browser. Like, Burp is great, but like a lot of people don't realize that so many of the things that you're doing in Burp can also be done just natively in the browser now. I think dev tools, especially for web-based challenges, are all of the challenges today web-based? Do we know, or are all the challenges typically web-based?
They're not typically all web-based. We actually have no information about any of the challenges today, so we're just kind of calling it go along. But yeah, usually you end up with some kind of like local priv-esque at the end. And so there was one UHC where it was like in AWS, and the player that won, they got like access keys pretty early on, and then from there they were able to do everything through like the AWS APIs, and then they just like pulled all the flags that way. And they ended up winning in like record time of like 20 or 25 minutes, something like that. But generally there's usually some kind of like local priv-esque that you need to do. There was one where there was like a writable Docker socket, and you could like break out of your container to like get onto the host. There's usually something that is system based, or you have to do some kind of like post exploitation or whatever, looking around the system to find other things. But sometimes there's tricks, right? Like as a CTF player, when I get on a box and I'm playing in a CTF when I know what the flag format is like. In this case, I think the flag format's usually UHC curly brace to like start. If I get on a box, I run like the grep recursive across everything and be like, show me all the entries for like UHC curly brace. But in like one of the CTFs, 1 week, they had the flag in a file, but there was like a space between each character, right? So it's like U space H space C, or you could have like Unicode encoding, right? So there's like a null byte. So it's like U null byte, H null byte. And so if you catted that file, it would definitely show you the flag straight away where you could copy and paste it, but grep isn't going to find that. And so there's some other tricks there to be aware of.
Yeah, I actually hadn't considered that. I had a popular thread on Twitter a while back about about how Linux, you can put 0-width spaces in your file names, and actually a single 0-width space is a valid file name on Linux. But like you could easily hide things from grep and stuff. I also have taken a similar approach to most CTFs. At one point, my very first reverse engineering challenge I ever solved was, some sort of Caesar shift, and I didn't really know. I still don't really know how to reverse engineer very well. It's just not something I've ever been very good at. So I wrote an application that just took every byte of the string or every byte of the binary and shifted it by 1. And then grepped for the flag format, and then I did it again and again and again until I got the flag format. It was
nice,
the hackiest thing I've ever done, but I got the flag, so
Yeah, and justify the means, especially in CTF, and that's kind of what I was experiencing with OSINT CTF, where the creators, they do OSINT for like a living, right? So their frame is like to like create a report with like accurate data that they have verified and hand that into a client. And like my experience with OSINT is like CTF. So my stuff is like, just get flags. And so, if you're working as a client, you wouldn't just like fuzz out like, oh yeah, this person was at the Boston Marathon on this date or whatever, right? You would have to like have definitive proof of like this is the case. And like meanwhile, we're like, what are all the shortcuts to just like get me the answer so I can get my points and move on to the next challenge?
Yeah.
This is why I love CTF.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really fun, I think a lot of people are like, oh well, CTFs aren't realistic to what like actual hacking is. And like, okay, so to some degree, some of that is accurate. Like there's very few times that I've had to do something on a job that I did in a CTF first. But like it's like that way that you think and the way that you approach the challenges, I think, that's what transfers. And I come up with some really divergent thinking. I'm looking for like the really obscure, weird stuff that, you wouldn't expect to find, but if you find it, that's the equivalent of the flag. And
there are definitely techniques that I've pulled out of CTF that have made my professional life way better. The number one that comes to mind is upgrading my shell, right? When I get like a reverse shell off of a web app, like it's awful, right? There's no tab completion. There's like, it's a mess to like run anything. Every command you run gets echoed back in the terminal, right? And then also at the same time, if you're like, okay, I'm just going to do the Python import pty.spawn bin bash, like that still doesn't get you tab completion, but also that is like super suspect. Have you ever in any scenario ever in your life seen pty.spawn bin bash running on a box that's like, this is legit? Like I've never seen that. That's like the number one highest signal IOC. If you ever see that on a box, you're like, dead body reported. Like
red team sus. Let's
yes, right. So that's like how do I get around that, right? And so like pulling out like Python obfuscations has helped me be able to accomplish that same objective, but then like not get caught on a pty.spawn bin bash. And then doing the STTY stuff, right? So like I get like a web reverse shell, but I'm like, I live a dope life and I do dope shit. So like, I don't want to get stuck in this like, pleb reverse shell where like all my stuff gets echoed back to me and everything is all nasty. Like I want tab completion. Like I deserve that. I have a mustache. Come on.
Yeah.
So, now I can like upgrade my shell and I get like tab completion and full feature TTY. And I pulled all of that from CTF challenges, either CTF challenges that I wrote or CTF challenges that I played.
Yeah, that's true. Now I understand why I don't usually get tab completion on my shells. I'm going to have to let the mustache grow a little bit. But no, if I'm on if I get a shell and it's not ZSH, I got to figure out how to get ZSH with me on that box,
But I need the fancy color tabs and everything.
No. Once you've done it, you can't go back. If I don't have a little Python in my terminal prompt to tell me that there's Python in the directory, then I'm having a bad time.
Zero emojis, GTFO.
yeah. But like, actually, another thing that you said was, the like figuring out how to obfuscate things, and that's kind of interesting too, because like, how many times do you actually see obfuscated Python strings running? Like, even if you're getting Python audit logs and all that stuff, how many times do you just see like obfuscated strings? Like nobody really writes their Python obfuscated. So nobody's like, I want this language that's really easy to read and I want to fuck it up. Like nobody does that. Well, people do that. Like NetSpooky on Twitter, he does that for fun, but like most people don't do that. So
and where I got mine from was there was a CTF challenge that I wrote that it was 3 lines of Python, but it was all like underscores and lambdas essentially, and it was like reading into class names and method names and everything to then like build out the code, which would then like get passed into the lambda to actually execute the Python. So it was only like 3 lines of Python. But it was like nasty to look at, right? If you tried to reverse it, it was like a huge pain in the butt. And then tying back to us talking about how players surprisingly solve challenges in different ways. That was one of the challenges that I ran in the CTF after I'd already run it like 5 or 6 times. Yes, yeah, shell exactly is basically like brain food in Python. And so the thing that was wild to me was I'd seen people solve this challenge a number of different ways. Somebody, managed to like map in like the print function somewhere or whatever. But the last time that I ran this challenge, somebody was just like, oh yeah, I'll just Ltrace it. And they did like Ltrace on like the Python script, and it just showed plain as text, like the comparison, like if the input string is the flag, then blah, blah, blah. And then just like copy and paste the flag, done. I was like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. That was like incredible. It was such a cool solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Which goes back to like being bound by what you think is the solution. Like once you get it in your headspace, and like, that's something, I'm seeing some of the competitors today, like very, very focused on just like, this is the next solution, right? Of like, I'm gonna go figure out this specific thing because I'm convinced that it's the solution. And the longer that you spend doing that, like if it's the wrong solution, that's time you're never gonna get back. It's tricky to know like how do you determine when to give up on this thread and go like kind of work on something else. Especially like I think another thing that I've noticed, I think that most of the competitors are all like playing challenges basically in order. Like a lot of people are working on the recon challenge because it's the 100. And to me, like we're CTF properly started an hour and a half ago or so. Mm-hmm. So like to me, that's like, okay, I'm going to go work on 200 or 300 because like, it's clear that I'm at a wall at this point that I need to go. Like, I would rather score any points than score no points if I can help it, And the other thing, not just from scoring points, but like I want to know what those other challenges are right away. Like the very first thing I do with the CTF is read all of the challenges because like this one might be 100 because the organizer thought, yeah, that's easy, but sometimes the organizers are wrong,
and or so something that they know isn't something that's commonly known in other places. So exactly like you said, they might think something that's 100 is easy, whereas like nobody else knows it, or vice versa. I've had challenges I played where it's like the 300 was easier than the 200.
Yep. I was guilty of writing a couple of challenges that like people got the 300 long before they got even the 100, which was like, I made them in that order because I thought that they would be like, you could play them in that order and they would logically go to one to the next, but like you didn't have to. Very well could just start at 300 and do whatever. That's okay,
I'm impressed. We don't have any more points so far. Like no one got the mid flag, and we are already like halfway through the championship. We only have 1 hour and a half more. I don't know if Afonso is sitting on flags there,
probably,
or what. But it looks like it's a hard night for the UHC players. It looks like the machines tonight are a little bit more complex.
We have definitely had nights where we make it to the end, the 3 hours, and there are only a few people with one of the flags. And Dade, going back to your point, I agree. Like it's like the flags in UHC are generally all related. They're kind of like a progressive kill chain essentially. Okay. So you're supposed to move through step by step, but it's not always the case. And it is possible to kind of like work your way into like a root shell without ever having found any of the prior flags, which I think is a completely valid strategy, right? If you can like priv-esc up and you end up with this like root shell, it might be easier to like go back and find all the flags rather than like spending time hunting around for a flag at an earlier stage, right? You're in the first case, you're looking for some particular application vulnerability that might get you an initial flag, but it might not get you anything else beyond that. And then you have to continue fingerprinting the app and figuring out like where the other vulnerability is to like move on and get your first web shell or something, right? But if you just like go to that point first and then you work your way up to a root shell, that initial flag that you were supposed to get through like an LFI or something like that, that's already going to be on the file system where you can just like grep across it and find it or go look back at those files.
Yeah. Actually, I'm watching Silesian right now and pulled up another one of my favorite CTF tools, CyberChef from GCHQ.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, like it's a savior. You know, you can do very, very complex manipulations on an input, like because you can chain it all together. I mean, before CyberChef, he was looking at the source code for SQL map, so I maybe just appreciated getting away from the source code for SQL map. But you know, it's nice to see this. Like, it's really cool how you can just kind of chain things together as a recipe, and then like that really gives you a lot of capability in a CTF, particularly. Like, I write Python damn near every day, and there are a lot of things that are like basic in Python that like I have to look up every single time.
Oh yeah, I'm like
forever
perennial searching. Like, how do I write a file in Python?
yeah, exactly. Like
it's like 2 lines.
There's a lot of like string encoding and stuff like that like I just like. Yesterday I looked up how to check what the end of a string is in Python, because I was like, it's probably ends with, but like that might be a different language I'm thinking about, you know. And yeah, so it's neat. Like, CyberChef is neat because you don't have to think about that stuff. You're just like, I need to turn it into a hex string, so I'm going to drag this to hex string over here, and now I have it. Like, that's you can do like encryption and decryption in CyberChef, where you like, I have a hex string, I put it in, I convert it to UTF-8, I decrypt it, and then I put it back out in hex because of the hex, the flag format or something like that. It's one of my favorite
absolutely.
tools.
In this case, it looks like that Silesian is searching for UTF-16, and so I'm curious what they found that got them on this path of looking up UTF-16. I see a lot of like PHP mentions, and I know you mentioned earlier that they were looking at Slim framework. So I wonder if like Slim framework maybe has some kind of like UTF-16 default encoding or something like that, and that's kind of why they're looking this up. And maybe when you mentioned that Silesian was looking through the SQL map source code, maybe like there's not a tamper filter to do the UTF-16 conversion or something, and that's why they're going to CyberChef.
Yeah, and like I think that UTF-8 and UTF-16 and ASCII, just like all three of those, it's fascinating because like in an attack like SQL injection, the PHP might support UTF-16, but if MySQL doesn't, or if Postgres doesn't, or whatever your backend doesn't, then like you can still have those attacks where it goes through PHP and it's valid UTF-16, but then it gets to the SQL backend, and they're like, oh well, we're interpreting this as 8 bytes, instead of 16 or whatever. Like we're interpreting UTF-8, not UTF-16. And like, I don't know what the word is for that attack. It's just like a character set attack that like it's super cool, because you'll get like some emojis have, they start with the hex code for a magic quote, and maybe magic quotes are forbidden, but that emoji is probably not. So like it's such a cool area for attack.
Yep. I remember a long time ago doing those kinds of character encoding attacks against web applications. And so you would find something like PHP would have, it's like, I forget what the method is called, but it would basically handle like escaping characters for you. But if the database that you were targeting was like big 5 or something else, right? Some kind of like Unicode format, you could pass in a multi-byte character, which then the PHP method would escape and sanitize for you, which would then like cause the injection to occur. And then so like it was like a really weird like setup. It was like kind of like a chess, thinking like one move ahead, so that you could like then get your injection to fire. And yeah, those are super fantastic. So Dave, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Pick and predict a year where we're going to have simple and consistent Unicode handling in our applications.
I'm gonna go with 2039.
I was gonna say 2040.
Yeah, well, I just like I feel like 2039. We're just going to have come off the back of like, oh my God, time is broken. How do we fix this? Like,
Yes, the
so I think
32-bit
that
sign
like,
integer bug.
yeah, if you're already in there mucking with all that, you might as well just, UTF-8 or UTF-60, whatever we're up to by that point. I don't know, like UTF-48. I don't know, sure, whatever.
UTF-256.
It just keeps going up like an AES cipher. Yeah.
Wingdings 4.
This is our Sumerian here. We have support for that. Yeah, that's
we're full on snow crash at that point.
yeah.
So if we're doing Price is Right rules, then if it's 2040 or after, then I win. And if it's before 2039, then we both lose.
See, you didn't say Price is Right rules ahead of time. I didn't know we were doing. Yeah, you're messing with my strategies here, man.
I know. I'm changing the rules after. It's kind of like if you just stop counting the votes.
Yeah. You just you really want me in that like one narrow. I have a 1 year to get this right. You've got eternity, and I've got 1 year. Thanks, bud.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, CyberChef, amazing tool for handling and coding stuff. Have you ever seen Chop Shop?
No.
I think Chop Shop made by MITRE, I want to say, but I could be wrong there. But anyways, I used Chop Shop for doing like custom decodes of command and control stuff from malware. So then I'd be able to like pipe in, like network traffic into like Chop Shop and say like, this is how the binary protocol for the malware decodes. And then it would be able to say like, okay, here's like the command, and here's, the whatever details, the parameters and stuff that are being passed, even though all I gave it was just whatever the specific proprietary binary protocol for the malware was. So Chop Shop was like super cool. I think written in Python, if I remember. I haven't used it for a number of years now, but also could do some encoding stuff as well. Just kind of, I don't know, a different use case, I guess.
Yeah, so I looked it up. It is in fact by MITRE. Nice. I'll even do the nice thing and drop it into Twitch chat. Oh, I'm not allowed to. My bad.
The bot is like, no. How dare you try to teach people, Dave?
But
the bot just gave you a warning.
Oh,
that bot is so strict. Once I think I posted the link for the UHC Brazilian chat, and the bot gave me a warning, like, bitch, so rude.
You work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I read the MITRE page on Chop Shop. It's a MITRE developed framework to aid analysts in the creation and execution of PyNIDS based decoder and detectors of APT tradecraft. And I read PyNIDS like 4 times. I still actually don't know what it is for sure. I assume it's Python Network Intrusion Detection System or something like that, but I'd never heard of it before.
So
I thought for sure that it was just like this weird typo that's probably lived on this page for years. And no, it's just
or like 80 with this elaborate troll, like has like committed some weird thing into GitHub through some bug and is like now trolling me to like install this somewhere.
So we talked briefly about like the YouTube DL thing and like how they attached that to the DMCA repo and all that. And like, I wonder if you can make a CTF challenge where you have to go find like that specific commit on somebody else's repo. Like, I think you can probably give off enough information and like hide a repo in somebody else's repo, or hide the flag in somebody else's repo completely. Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I did a CTF challenge once. I made it, and basically you got a zip file of a home directory, and then, or a project directory or something. But anyways, the project had been maintained by Git at one point, and then by like Mercurial at another point. And so there was like a .git and a .hg. And then what you needed to do was look through the commit logs, and in one of the two, it would say like, hey, we're moving over from this version control over to like this other one. And then in the other one, you'd see like an early commit that had something like, yeah, like added this fix or whatever. And then like the commit following it would be like, oops, like removed something that wasn't supposed to be there or whatever. And so what you had to do was like revert to that commit to get like the flag that was involved in that commit.
Yeah, I love Git-based challenges. I love Git-based challenges, especially like the .git folder on a web server, or the .hg on a web server, and like you can forbid specific files that like would make your life way easier. If you had those files, you'd be able to like download it all and just like go through it no problem. But you can forbid access to just those specific files, and then you've got to dig through the actual patches like one at a time to find like the change set that you're looking for. Oh, it's wonderful. I love that stuff. It's also like actually going back to like CTF teaching me something in my real job, like Git-based challenges are how I learned how to better understand Git. For a long time, I really struggled with like Git, especially on multi-person projects of like, okay, how are we gonna do I have to merge here? How do I rebase this? How do I do all of this stuff? And how do I make this work? And then as soon as I realized that a commit is just like a set of changes to the file, it's not state, it's just a set of plus and minus lines basically. And like, as I figured that out from digging through Git-based CTF challenges, I was like, oh yeah, actually this makes a lot more sense. Understanding how the branches work and understanding why you don't put giant files in Git repositories and stuff like that, so it was pretty cool. I think going back to UHC, like it looks like a lot of people are kind of on the path of like SQL injection being the next step, which I think is interesting. I don't know where the first flag was. I didn't happen to be looking at anybody when they got it, but it's interesting to me that SQL injection would be the second step instead of like the first step. That just seems like it'd be where you get in at. But
yeah, well, maybe there was like SQLi or something with like a view that got you the first flag and maybe some credentials or something like that. I honestly don't know. I didn't see it either as well. But yeah, I always thought that making challenges with SQLi was really challenging for me because I just don't know enough about database and application security. So, my concern was always like, how do I make a SQL injection challenge that that will like only allow the players to get the information that they're intended to get and not just like dump out the entire database or get a shell on the system or start writing like new stuff and like privest with like a user defined function or some shared library or something.
That's true. Like I don't like to do SQL injection CTF challenges for much the same reason. Like I don't like to build them because I don't think that I can build them safely. On the other hand, I kind of like the chaos of I built it and okay, you escalated and you got the shell, you got like the third flag a different way. Like one of the CTFs that I work on, besides Portland, shout out to everybody in Portland. I love Portland. Like a couple of years ago, one of the like during the CTF, if you also have like you could play and you could get flags, whatever, but if you happen to escape, if you happen to like figure out how to container escape or get into like the Kubernetes admin or anything like that, if you figured out how to attack the actual infrastructure, you could actually be eligible for like a cash reward. So like you don't get points in the CTF for figuring out how to break the CTF, but there was like a bug bounty on the CTF platform at the same time as the CTF running, which is like a really cool, especially if you're building a platform that you want to be able to reuse over and over again. It's cool to have that, like, oops, I did it again, but I got paid for it,
Yeah. Bug bounty on the CTF essentially.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Or like in Dumb and Dumber, where it's like, that's better than money, my friend. Those are IOUs.
Yes, exactly. And for being like a regional CTF, we've had some really cool prizes over the years. Like besides just like the bug bounty thing, like last year we gave away, I guess it's less cool because everything got canceled this year. But like last year, one of the prizes was a black hat pass, and we've had a lot of we like to give away. It was usually stuff that was related to CTFing. So like Binary Ninja before Rodare or before Ghidra came out, Binary Ninja like licenses and burp licenses, that sort of thing. Hack the Box Pro, stuff that like basically you get to keep working. Oh, you like CTF? Well, have some more,
Yes, right. We're gonna feed your addiction.
Yeah.
And UHC does that as well. I think last week they hit like 450 viewers or something, and so they did like a VIP for Hack the Box, or maybe they did 2 of them actually.
Yeah.
I think they were going to do VIP if they got
think
300.
I think it was 2 VIPs, and they're always like putting new challenges for the people in the chat, and like they do sometimes they put the price up of the cash prize, because people in the chat are just like betting money on the result, and they're like, yeah, if this player wins, I'm gonna give him like an extra 200 bucks out of my own pocket.
Wow, that's a big game going on over here now. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know there was betting markets. That sounds great.
The Brazilian one has like around 300 to 400 people watching each edition, so it's already quite big there. And Brazilians are kind of
Hardcore.
Hardcore.
Not very correct in the hit.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I didn't know you could bet on CTFs. That sounds awesome.
Well, it's like you can find ways to bet on like anything, right? Like I remember when TF2 and CS:GO and stuff, they started doing like the skins and the hats and all of that, and it was just like online black market betting where it was like, we're gonna like bet on these skins that are like $3,000 against like matches where like 2 different squads are going up head to head. Just real quick in the chat, I see Ricardo asking about a Bash one-liner for doing basic auth with curl. And in the past, the way that I usually do that is I go like into burp. I do it like cheat code easy mode, and I just like copy the request out of burp and just do it to like copy into curl command. And then that way it's like all done and set for me.
You can also, if you don't want to do that, you can do -- basic, and it will use basic and then -u for user, and or you can write the header yourself.
Shout out to Ricardo in the chat. Ricardo is a well-known Brazilian. He is a bug bounty figure. So it's really nice to see him here. Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. Prazer. Dade, given your name, do you know the Brazilian bug bounty guy on Twitter that goes by Zero Cool?
Maybe. I'm sure I've seen him. I don't know.
There's like I forget what there's him and another dude, and they do like King Bug Bounty tips or something like that. But they chain together all the like project discovery stuff where they're doing like HTTPX and chaos and all of that, and then they're just like, oh yeah, here's how to find like subdomain takeovers on like a massive level, and it's all just like one-liner. just like like I can't imagine what their box looks like at the time they're running it. It's just like a million processes, like all of the RAMs just getting like chewed up.
Yeah. Oh, Marina, do you wanna tell Artheus about how a hacking championship works?
Yeah, and while y'all do that, I'm gonna go grab a drink.
Oh boy,
BRB.
Here we go. Okay, so back in the 60s. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But actually, back in the 60s, people from Apple, CTF by itself, the capture the flag format of playing is well known among a lot of games. Not only kids playing in the street, but also paintball and video games out there. So capture the flag is a well known format. So what they are doing here, we have a technical capture the flag here. So the players have a lot of technical challenges to go through to break into the systems that are built especially for the CTF here tonight. So all of these virtual environments and virtual machines, they are built for the players. So they can break into those systems and, study around them and, go for the flags, which are the correct technical challenges answers, and submit those answers. If they do it right, they get points. And at the end of our night, which should be around an hour or so, the player with more points will win a cash prize. So that's what UHC here is. So hacking championships can work in several kind of ways. We have CTF right here. We were just earlier talking about OSINT CTFs, about OSINT, for those who don't know, means open source intelligence. We have also, phishing contests, which are, malicious calls. So those calls that want you to give them a bunch of your personal info so they can fraud you and things like that. No, it is not disabling your opponent's machine. There are a few rules in play here in UHC, and it is out of the scope to attack each other's machines. So you do have to, just play on the flags. What the flags tell you. Yes, and also we do not tolerate any illegal activities here. So whoever is committing crime, and if we catch that person committing crimes online, first of all, that's not very smart. I would not, recommend for anyone to commit crimes on a Twitch live stream. But second of all, that person would be disqualified, because we believe in hacking as a learning platform, as a safe space for hackers to, go for what their skills are and sharpen those skills and just have fun altogether. So, illegal things, we do not tolerate them here. I mean, if it's a virtual machine made for it, yes, those are all virtual environments and machines built especially for UHC. These are UHC exclusive infrastructure.
Yeah, and there are CTFs out there that you get to attack the other competitors. Yes. Like at DEF CON annually, they have an attack and defend CTF where you have to go get flags against your opponents while at the same time protecting your own network, stuff like that. Like those do exist. They just don't really happen online because of the logistics of it. Like you don't want that to happen on your home computer, and the types of people who play them, you don't really want them to happen on a virtual machine on your computer either. Like virtual machines are only virtual until they're not. Yeah, there are, it does exist. It's just not common. This is a Jeopardy style CTF where the challenges are broken up into different, kind of like a Jeopardy board. And so you pick the one that's 100 points, you pick the one that's 200 points, and you play that challenge. And then OBS about reverse engineering contests. So a lot of CTFs, I'm not going to post a link again because the bot will yell at me, but ctftime.org is literally just a giant list of CTFs that happen. And in almost every CTF, they will have reverse engineering challenges. It's one of the most common categories for challenges. So you can definitely get in there and do some reverse engineering. They'll have Android, they'll have Linux, they'll have Windows. There's all kinds of stuff.
Are you allowed to bring your own tools, or is it kind of like a game jam where everything that makes it to the competition has to be produced on site? No, you can bring your own tools to play UHC. Here, we allow everyone to use whatever tools they prefer.
It would be really, really slow competition if everybody had to write their own tools.
We have seen a few people writing their own tools on UHC. You get to see all kinds of crazy stuff here. We have people writing their own exploits, you know, live on UHC. It depends on the challenges they have to go through.
Obes, I don't know, but when 80 comes back, he might know. We actually talked about crackme's.de earlier in the night, so I'm sure somebody out there at least has a copy of all of them if they're not hosting the site.
I think he is just returning. I can hear him going into his office.
It looks like B is on a different track. It looks like he's moved on from the SQL injection, which is cool. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to say specifics because I want to, I don't want to give the hint away in case it's right.
You can go for it. If it is right, then the other players should be paying attention to the stream as well.
That's true. Yeah. Well, we're instead of the SQL injection, we're seeing some deserialization attempts. Trying to deserialize contents, and I think that's great. I think, I see a lot of Java in my day job, so I'm very familiar with deserialization. It's a fun attack class. So
yeah, we had a PHP object injection last week, which was really cool. And yeah, the same, like every time I run across deserialization bugs, it's always a really cool find. Marina laughed, but I mentioned the tool Why So Serial. And that's like what I use to like generate.
I like the names of hacker tools. Okay, I really like them. They're really fun. Whoever creates the tools, I want to pat them in the back, like, well thought, my friend, well thought.
Oh yeah, you should go look at my anti-forensics repo on GitHub.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
My personal favorite of all the tools I've built, I have a script that generates block lists for clouds, and I called it Sephiroth, nice. Which is a nice Final Fantasy VII reference. I love it. That was maybe my favorite name. But yeah,
I have a tool that I built that it will in an AWS organization, it'll if you can specify one or multiple accounts, but it will delete all the current the latest evaluations for a config rule, and then run a new evaluation of all the config rules for you. Oh, and nice. So I called it run the rules.
I appreciate that. That's a good one.
Oh boy, I love you. Have I told that to you today?
I love you too. Obes or OABs in the chat with some really cool stuff, talking about crackme's.de. That was my jam, a number of years ago as well. I don't know if you already talked about this, sorry, but yeah.
I said that you would talk about it when you got back, actually. So
yes, nice. Yeah, that was where I kind of cut my teeth on reversing. It was like a CTF, essentially a CTF setup of like cracking software, and all different difficulty levels, and again, learned a ton of stuff. And then maybe 5 or 10 years ago, they had some kind of some issue. I think like the laws, so crackme's.de, I think the law changed in Germany or something, or maybe in the EU. And all of a sudden their site got classified as like a hacking site or something like that. And so basically there was like a takedown. It did come back for some amount of time, but I feel like it went away. And OBS, nice, or OABs. That's awesome that you contributed crackme's. That's like, I always think that's like the really unspoken side of InfoSec community, is the folks that make these challenges, right? And we've talked about this quite a bit, Dade, actually more, I think you and I, more than most folks that I know, about creating CTF challenges and making new stuff. And yeah, that's finding things like crackme's.de and Hack the Box and VulnHub. Those sites are like so amazing, where you can find new challenges to work on and practice on and develop new techniques with. And so big ups to all the folks out there that are making new challenges and helping folks learn new things every day.
Yeah. There's actually another cool site that somebody turned me on to before the B-Sides Portland CTF called Try Hack Me. And you basically can like build a custom challenge and they host it for you, and people can go in, like you make an account and they literally let you they'll spin up a box just for you, or like it might not be like a whole VM or something, but they'll spin it up and then you can sit there and actually try to do the challenge. So that's like a pretty cool it's kind of like a mesh between what Hack the Box offers and what Vuln Hub offers.
Nice.
It's you can still build your own, and you can host it for your friends, which I think is cool. So
yeah, that is super awesome. And big up CTOP on there right now, learning stuff. Heck yeah. Never stop learning, as my friend Sulfur says. If you've never seen or heard Sulfur, go on YouTube, look up Sulfur, Never Stop Learning. He literally makes lock picks out of 2 paper clips and 2 quarters, and then picks the lock to his front door all while he's rapping. It's an incredible video. And
he also does the Rubik's Cube, right? Once I went to one of his shows and it was just insane. He was rapping like extremely fucking fast to the Never Stop Learning song while he was solving a Rubik's Cube, also extremely fucking fast. And he just finished it. He just finished the Rubik's Cube, in the meantime of the song, and people just went freaking nuts. I think that was the most nerdiest moment I had like in my entire life, maybe.
Hey,
but it was so
absolutely
cool.
Yeah, and in the chat, Ricardo with a really cool idea, adding a challenge with HTTP request smuggling. I've seen that kind of become like way more prevalent after. I feel like the first person I saw publish it was the Burp Suite folks. I think it was like Albino Wax, but talking about basically like doing this HTTP request smuggling. You can find it in a lot of places now, and we definitely have not seen that in UHC yet. And I think that would be a good challenge. So Ricardo, awesome suggestion, and stay with us, and we can definitely recommend it to the UHC authors when we raid on the Brazilian side at the end here.
There's a technique that's in my head. It's always kind of similar to the request smuggling, and it's abusing the HTTP hop by hop headers, which is something I had never heard of before. It came out about a year ago now, the first blog post I've seen on it, but like in the connection header, you can list a number of other headers and they'll get stripped off basically like one by one for each hop of the connection. So like between the client and the server, and then the load balancer will strip them off and send them downstream. And like that's just such a fascinating. Like I didn't know I didn't know that there was something in the HTTP spec that allowed that, right? Like I knew load balancers would do stuff like that, but I didn't know that there was a way to like specify that as the client. It's really cool.
So it's like TTL, but it's like the application layer, like layer 7.
Yeah. And so like certain things in the connection, like certain things are automatic, like the keep alive, connection, upgrade, proxy authorization. Like obviously you don't want your first hop's proxy authorization to go to the next hop. So like there's certain stuff that like automatically does it. In the chat,
Ricardo asking what's the header name.
So it usually happens in the connection header. And you can just specify a list of other headers that you want to be stripped off, basically.
The connection header being like if you're connecting through a proxy, right?
Yeah.
Or connecting to it. Or connect is the HTTP verb, right?
This is the actual connection header.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was on the wrong path.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. There's a link. I'm gonna post it, and maybe I'll get in trouble. Maybe I won't. Whatever.
Only with the bot. It's fine.
Hi, DevCon 201.
Hi.
The folks from DevCon 201 just showed up here.
But yeah, okay. So there's a connection header, and then what you're saying is that you can add multiple entries, and for each hop, the like trailing entry gets stripped off.
don't remember off the top of my head, but there is definitely like it strips something off. I don't know what the spec says specifically, but it's really an interesting kind of technique.
Yeah, man, that's wild. Like I love that we're, you know, in 2020, things have been getting hacked for years and years, and we're still figuring out new ways to hack things.
Yep. Yeah, we're getting better at it. Oh, shout out Cicada 3301. That's my jam. I spent so much time when I should have been studying class and like, you know, conversating with the ladies and all that. Nope, I was reading about a damn bug on the internet. It's good stuff. It's honestly, it's so much like I love that kind of idea so much of what they did. Of just like secretively coming out and doing steganography and doing these secret challenges in a progressive way, and then like literally taking like a year between some of the challenges to release, and it was almost like an augmented reality. Like there were elements of it that you had to go to certain cities, or you know, people would collaborate together to go to their different cities and find the next step and stuff like that. It was really cool. And like I've always had this fascination with like the secret society alternate or alternate reality type thing. So it's shout out to them. You know, nothing has happened down there for like 5 years at least. They published this like book. They literally wrote a ciphered book using like a custom language, and nobody's figured out how to decipher it yet for like years. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of like kind of conspiracy around it, but just like from a purely technical standpoint, I love what it did. And I think it's kind of what got me into the hacking path in the first place. Of like, it was the first time I learned that you can just append everything you want to the end of a JPEG and it's still a JPEG.
Yes.
You know, so like,
yeah.
like that was one of the things that just like, oh yeah, this opened up my eyes. Or like changing color profiles on images and stuff like that. There's so much cool stuff that like, you know, secret codes and all that.
Yeah, which is another reason why I love Stego challenges and CTFs, is because I get to find new tools. They make me go look for new things, and I look at different aspects of file formats, right? Like one of my favorite people that messes with file formats is ENG, right? Like Korkami or Korkami or however you pronounce their name, has done so much cool work in like visualizing what file formats will look like and like how to map them out. And somehow ENG just keeps finding new ways to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So like all the POC or GTFOs are all like 50 different file formats all in one.
Yeah.
Like how?
Yeah.
How do you
I had an idea for a CTF challenge like last year, and I reached out to him because I was like, hey, I want to make a Matryoshka challenge that when you get to the bottom of it contains itself. And it turns out you can't actually do that in the zip file. Like I was trying to do it with like a zip file, and you can't do it in zip. You can make a zip file that is infinitely self-extracting though, which is cool. But yeah, I just saw today the ENG published like 180 slide deck on the PDF file format. And it's like step by step going through the PDF. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm like, where was this? I don't know, 13 years ago or 14 years ago when I was doing like PDF research.
Yeah.
Like obviously I don't have that skill set, but it was like really cool. I remember at the time digging into PDF because I remember people were getting phished with PDF files. And it was like there were just bugs in Adobe and everything. And I think even at the time, Adobe Reader had you could put a directive. I remember looking through the PDF format and the documentation, and there was some like directive you could put in a PDF file, and it said like under the hood, this calls shell exec. And I'm like, nuh-uh. Like, are you kidding me? Like this, like you just have straight up RCE in like a PDF file? Like, nuh-uh. And I'm like, this doesn't work. This can't be right. Like, and I made a PDF file, like, yep, sure enough, there's my like calc.exe. Like, what the heck?
Yep. Yeah, that'll happen. Also, shout out to Alfonso, who just updated Oh My ZSH live in a CTF. I appreciate you got to hit yes when you get prompted to update.
Bill O'Reilly status. We'll do it live.
Talking about Alfonso, I mean, we are already in the final hour of the CTF. We have 4 players in our scoreboard, which means tonight is a hard night. Usually we have up to 7 players on the scoreboard. And at this time, at least someone already has the mid flag. But tonight, all of our 4 competitors on the scoreboard have just 100 points. So they had access. They got only the easy flag right. So first place is Silesian. Second place is B. Third place is Luska, and fourth place is Taliesin. Silesian, B, and Luska are veterans. Taliesin is a newcomer here. Silesian and B were already champions of other UHC editions, and they do play CTF quite a bit. Luska, too, has already played a lot. So we are going into our late game. We are going to the last phase of our CTF now.
So there is a flag on the screen, and Alfonso is not on the scoreboard.
Oh, Alfonso is sitting up. We got him.
Alfonso's sitting on at least 1 flag right now.
We caught him. He does that shit.
I wondered. I kept seeing it, but I kept missing it. Like I'd see it right as he was switching away, and I was like, "Is that a real flag? Is he just like, is that a real flag, or is he just like a trolling us?" You know?
So look at the Giphies. Amazing. Oh man. All right. And one of the things that I just want to call out here really quickly is that usually we kind of talk about this in the early stages of about recon, but Alfonso had looked like auto recon output open, and I've seen so many people make their own kind of auto recon stuff, right? Where they're just like, this is what's important to me. And so my curiosity is, Dade, have you ever looked at what some other person considers to be valuable for recon and in an automated fashion and use that, or do you just end up putting your own thing together?
Yeah, it mostly depends. I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer. I think that, I definitely like to see what other people are doing. And I think that especially as a result of bug bounty, automated recon is just everybody is doing it, and so there's so many things you can do. It's a trade-off, right? I can have this super sick automated recon platform that does everything, but the more things it's doing, that's more time it's going to take, or it's more requests that may be impacting the usability of the challenge, stuff like that. And it's kind of a balance. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I like to just nmap and dir search and we're done. And then if there's more, go from there. I think nmap is hey, that's my jam.
I love this song. We are currently listening to Dade and myself on a song called Red Team, which you can find on all the platforms.
Yeah, it's my jam.
Is it too loud? Sorry, is it too loud?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, maybe bring it down just a touch.
Okay.
I can't tell. I was actually I practiced this song earlier today because I was I was just going through some songs.
Yeah, this is one of the last songs that I rapped live. The last show that I played live was with you, Dade, in San Francisco at the end of February at RSA at the Flashpoint party.
Yeah, that was good party, good fun. Lots of good times that night. I was actually pretty sad because I was so pumped about that show, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start I'm gonna do more of this. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do more live rapping. And then it's just the world was no, stay inside. You're
not
grounded.
This year.
I'm all right, well.
And you were going to come out for South by Southwest.
Yep.
I got accepted to play at South by Southwest. You were going to come crash here. And I was like, we could definitely do red team in the South by Southwest set. And then there was no South by Southwest.
Bummer. Yeah, that's all right though. You know, it's been good. I have appreciated kind of the time off. Because I like look back to Red Team. Red Team was the first song I ever recorded, but not the first song I released. And I look back to it as like, oh well, you know, how can I improve on this, and like what can I do better? And so like I've had, you know, basically almost a year now since I first recorded that verse, and it's just like, you know, I'm going to start seeing a vocal coach and like kind of finding my voice and stuff like that. And like that, I'm excited about kind of the improvements. So having the downtime's nice. I get to hopefully come into when we do get to do things, you know, come in with a fresh and ready approach, you know.
Absolutely. In the chat, Artheus asking about red team, and red team in the context of information security is the offensive folks. We are the people, Dave and I are the people that break into places. We are the hackers.
Excuse me?
We're all yeah.
In Marina.
I also break into places. Not
but you're like you're a rogue. And Dave and I are like breaking into our employers that we work for full time.
They break into systems. I break into physical places. So that's the difference.
I've gotten plenty of trouble breaking into places. Actually,
under our contract, I break. This is really good for me to just clarify here. I do that under contracts.
That's
professionally.
Yeah. Professionally break into places.
Professionally.
Yeah. I have my badge printer back there, along with my Proxmark, the whole shebang back there.
Professionally.
Professionally. Yeah. Just professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other
it's
jam.
in the context of information security. Blue team being the defense side, the responders.
Yeah.
And the detection.
Yeah, so less like red team and Fall Guys, more like red team and red versus blue. More like red team and Halo.
Why don't we take a look at B? I'm curious what B is up to, because B's always like.
Oh my god! Just one quick second. Are you guys seeing this? This is Orchid. It was not super popular outside of Brazil, but inside Brazil, this was huge. This was our Facebook back in the early 20s. It is, oh my god, it is so cool to see this template. It's been so long.
Orchid was like Google's initial social network, and it only got like a strong foothold in Brazil. I remember like getting an early account on it, and I was like, why are all these posts in Portuguese? Like everybody is just like Brazilians on it.
It was pretty much just a huge troll forum. And if you ever met a Brazilian online, it was probably, on a troll situation, because that's what we do online. Oh wow, that was so cool to see that. Thank you so much I think it was Cadu who actually built the machine. So shout out to Cadu. It was just so nice to see. I miss Orchid. It was just fucking shitty, but
but it was nostalgically shitty.
Exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, I miss certain elements of dial-up, but that I don't want to go back to it either. Like
exactly. I
miss that rush of hearing it. No. I absolutely never want to hear it again, but I miss the way it made me feel.
Leave that shit back where it was deactivated. It's just nice to see it on a CTF.
So if we look at B is working on some cool stuff right now, and I feel like they are getting close to something. So B's passing this base 64 encoded string, right? But watch how it kind of breaks down. So we kind of see the object in the bottom part there in the terminal. I don't know if they're trying like a overflow right now with all those A's. I'm not sure, but they're getting this like serialization stuff going on, and I guess they're just trying to poke around. I always thought like I have like two approaches essentially with like serialization bugs. One is like I use YSO serial, and if that doesn't work, then I just like try fudging values. Like so, they're saying like here username is admin, auth is 1, is in like auth is true, right? So authenticate me as the admin. So I feel like either of those should work. Although I will say I don't think I've seen in UHC. I don't think I've seen any of the players use YSO serial before. But I don't know this PHP GGC. Maybe that's something. Is that something that B made custom? Have you all seen it, or is that a known service?
It was referenced on that whatever page you was just on a minute ago was about deserialization in PHP, and so it looks like it's like a PHP specific tool for deserialization or something.
So I
Nice.
just heard from our staff chat that it was not Kadu who built that Orchid template for CTF. It was actually someone, a fan from UHC social media that is rebuilding the website from scratch. That is a lot of free time, but we do appreciate that.
Is UHC's official social media presence going to move to Orchid?
Oh my god, I hope not.
Well, it's going to move to the Orchid reboot, right?
Oh my.
It's a fork of Orchid, so it's Forkit.
Forkit.
So good. Such a good job.
At least it's not an entire operating system, though, right? Like React OS was supposed to be a clone of Windows 2000 in 2020. I don't even think that React OS is still a clone of Windows 2000.
Yeah.
Although now we've got isn't there like the Windows XP source leak? So we're kind of like cloning that. All we had to do is just pirate it out of Microsoft, no problem.
Oh
yeah.
We had someone else going into our scoreboard with the easy flag. Ricardo just joined us.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Alfonso.
that little sneaky dude, he is sitting at, I think, in at least 2 flags, I'm betting.
He's definitely sitting on 1, I'm sure.
Sneaky dude.
So, Dade, in your rap music, how would you say that the music that you write compares to the music that you listen to? So, like for me, for example, I listen to like a lot of like modern stuff where it's kind of like a lot of 808s and like heavy drum beats and kind of like different tempos. But that like sound that I listen to is different than the music that I make, right? I like to make a lot of like boom bap, underground, chill, hip hop type of stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in Michigan, which is a preface. It means that, kind of my first rap music introduction was like Eminem, D12, kind of the stuff that come out of Detroit. And I think that definitely played a little bit of a role into like, maybe not the way that I rap or the beats that I rap on, but definitely the way that I write. I really like internal rhymes and like I like complex wordplay more than I care about like delivery, which is a problem for me. But I like to listen to a lot of the new stuff. I think like trap beats and like I love listening to trap beats. I don't know that I would like rap over them, mostly because like most trap beats to rap on, you want like that really good triplet flow, and it's just something that I've never really been able to. Sometimes I'll accidentally find my way into it, but I don't know how to write consistently in that kind of flow, like that choppy triplet flow. So like this song right now, this is like a very like jungle inspired like I hit up Bill Beats on this one, and he was just like, oh yeah, like I got a really good idea for this, and he came back with this because like I'd already had the whole song written before I went to Bill Beats, and I was like, hey, this is what the song is about, this is what I want to do, and he came back with this, and it's just like I really like that kind of like funky sound. I love the kind of uniqueness of the sounds you know, which is one of the problems that I have with trap. Like I like listening to trap because I can listen to 6 hours of trap and it all sounds good together, you know, like it just, it's constantly the same kind of vibe. And so I like that element of difference, you know. I think with the song that I got from Michael for that instrumental for the red team, the same thing of just like, it's like that kind of happy, upbeat song that like, I don't usually listen to music like that. You know, growing up was all Eminem and 50 Cent and D12 and like that gritty, sound. Yeah, you know, it's, I think the other thing too is like I listen to a lot of like Tech Nine, Token, Logic, Joyner Lucas. Like I really like fast rap. You know, I go back, I listen to Bone Thugs, I listen to Twista, and you know, that's all great. I find it difficult. Like I want to write more fast rap so that like it gives me a little bit of an excuse of like, this is like, I have to deliver it this way because it's like the only way to go fast enough. But I also realize that like the audience for like fast rap, especially if you're like fast nerdy rap, is just like such a niche. Like that is, you're really digging down into like subgenres there, you know. So
for sure. And
yeah.
plus with an enjoyment of wordplay, it's tough to get appreciation from the audience for the thought that you put into your wordplay and your construction of your lyrics when they're being delivered like a machine gun, right? At that point, as a listener, at least for me, I kind of tune out as to what the rapper is saying, and I'm just kind of more enjoying the larger feel of the sound. And so if you were to make some like incredible reference in your lyrics, I would just, it'd like be over my head. In the chat, Artheus is saying to check out Aesop Rock. And of course, like we all know that Aesop Rock is like, he's one of the greatest writers of all time. Like I remember seeing years ago, there was like a post about the
vocabulary. The
vocab. Exactly. And Aesop Rock was like the outlier on the far end of the spectrum.
Aesop Rock is great. And you know, like kind of what you were saying about the fast rap and you know, if you're making references but people aren't getting it. One thing I kind of like about that though is that like it's layered. Like I can listen to the same Tech Nine song like 20 times and pull out different references every single time. Like I kind of like that because it's like it's hidden in there. It's a secret for the people who want to look for it. And I like kind of that approach to it. You know, that said, I'm kind of all over the place right now. I'm kind of just trying out different things to see how it goes. I have a couple of songs I put out like demos for. I did a song about Phineas Fisher, which is awesome. I did another song called Advanced Persistent Threat, which that one has some of my favorite like wordplay in it. Like I started the second verse with taking over socials like Mark goes da da da, which was Mark Zuckerberg's LinkedIn password.
I didn't know that.
I wanted to go with like that deep references that like if you listen to it a bunch, you'll start to pick them up. You know, I had a bunch of other ones in that. It was like you know, ask the PLA, can the pandas come and play? Keep the Falcons busy while we let your password spray. Like the whole second verse is just me like I was like, oh yeah, we're not afraid, no birds of prey, talking about CrowdStrike basically. And like, you know, trying to avoid being detected, making a lot of like you know, little references. You know, there's another one in the beginning that was like I don't even remember what it was now. I'd have to start from the beginning probably, but
here's a question for you. How do you internally as an artist manage the kind of like disappointment maybe that you might feel when you write something like really clever but then you get like zero feedback on it. And basically like that means either that listeners didn't get it or they weren't impressed enough by it to let you know that they appreciated it.
I think it's a good question. I think that like I write for me, like writing for me is like, it gets that kind of emotion out, that expression out. And if other people don't get it or they don't like it, that's fine. Like I wrote it for me. The things that I don't really worry about my writing too much. There are definitely times where I write something and I go back and I was like, man, that was kind of weak. I could have done better. But like, if people aren't necessarily engaging with the writing, like, okay, I absolutely have a desire to make, a hack all the things style song that like it's really good for live play. It's catchy, it sticks, like all that stuff. But like, I feel like right now I'm not in that stage where that's what I need to focus on. Like right now I want to focus on other stuff. I'm doing this for fun. I'm not trying to make a career out of it or anything like that. Like honestly, what it really comes down to is like for the last like 10 years, I felt kind of lost. I felt like an artist who hadn't yet discovered the canvas, or his medium. How does he convey the art? And so like that's kind of what it comes down to for me right now, is like, how do I exploring that? But I found these bars that I really liked. It's very going back, the name of the song is Advanced Persistent Threat, so I wanted to make a lot of like APT jokes. And so I said, mistook me for a bear and I'm feeling very fancy. My homies feeling cozy when we act in vigilante. We in it for the mayhem and we're here to up the ante, dropping greets to ZFO and all them other anties. And like, some APT and a little bit of like deep hacker culture there. Lots of little stuff like that. And like, I like him. And so if other people don't get it or they don't like it or whatever, like, I don't care. Like, put it up on Genius and let somebody who does care, explain it. That's, I appreciate that, because there's a lot of songs I listen to that I don't know. I don't catch references and I like to go learn, and then like, oh yeah, that's why that's so clever. Like I hadn't thought about that before, All
right, we are on to our last 30 minutes of UHC here, folks, and we have five of our 10 players, so half of our players on the scoreboard tonight, and all of them just got the easy flag, which means it is a hard night. We do think that Afonso, one of our players that is not yet on the scoreboard, is sitting on flags, so he probably may go for the easy and mid or any other flags and surprises in this last 30 minutes. But as per now, we have Salesian first place, so he was the first one to submit the easy flag with 100 points. And then B, Luzca Taliesin, which is a newcomer, and Ricardo. All the other ones, except for Taliesin, are not newcomers. They are UHC veterans. So they have already played, being Salesian and B, already winners of past editions. I don't remember if Luzca and Ricardo already won, because I haven't been narrating all of the UHC editions, but I do know Salesian and B are champions, are past champions. So I think it's kind of anyone's game. If Afonso is actually sitting in more than one flag, and we definitely can tell that because we've seen at least one flag on his screen that he did not submit it. It's anyone's game at this point, but Salesian is still on top, and from past editions that we've seen Salesian leading the board, he actually got the CTF at the end. So it's 30 last minutes. So if anyone's going for any flags, now's the final rush.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on the scoreboard and watch for Alfonso start dumping these flags.
See the straight up at the very end.
Yes, yeah, exactly. The vertical line.
I wonder if that's like a strategy that not only Afonso but other players might be doing. That they not only don't submit flags to play mind games and guarantee that at the final round they're gonna just submit a bunch of flags and surprise everyone being the winners, because it is a mind game. If you have more people in the scoreboard, the first ones are gonna try harder because they want to guarantee the top position because they already have that advantage. So you kind of light a fire under your ass if you out submitting flags. It is a choice. I mean, you also, can submit the flags and guarantee the first place as soon as you can. It depends on your strategy, but the truth is, it can be anyone's game. I do think they might be using the sitting on flag strategy to avoid us looking into their screens.
Yeah,
it could
so
be.
One common thing I've actually seen before is some CTFs, some teams will sit on flags so that they don't tip off. Like especially if they get like a 300 or a 200 level early on, they don't want to tip off that is an easy one to go for. They don't want other people to know, if they spend all their other time on the 100 level challenge and never look at 300, which happens to be easy. Because one thing, I don't know about players tonight with only the 3 challenges, but if that were the case, and so you're sort of struggling on 100 and you see somebody has 300 without 100, like that's a really good incentive to stop looking at 100 and go to 300. So I've seen it before in some CTFs, definitely not like very common. It is I like the embracing risk that it embodies here, because this is very like, in 3 hours, time plays such a big role. Like the time you submit it is a very big role. So, but I guess on the other hand too, if 3 people already got it and you're not going to get top 3, sit on it for a while. If you're not going to get what you wanted when you came here, then sit on it and try to outwin them at the end.
And that's kind of the methodology or thought process we've heard, at least from Alfonso, is that they will basically just keep working and just be like, okay, cool. Like, let me just try to get as many flags as I can. Mm-hmm. Submitting them into the scoreboard isn't as important as actually getting the flags. And so they will just kind of keep working. Mm-hmm. But yeah, strange in either case, or unique, I'll say. And then one thing is, I always mention that every week I learn something new on UHC. And this week individually, or for me personally, I've learned PHP GGC. So I was not aware of this tool's existence. So that's really cool. And the other one is request bin, which is kind of like, to me, it looks like it's like ngrok, except for like HTTP requests. And so I think that's like a super cool find as well. So I kind of like have my own like selfish, nefarious purposes of doing UHC week after week, is so that I can like learn and become a better hacker.
Yeah, I think Luska might not want me watching right now. I think he's playing solitaire. Switch off there. Let him get back to the game.
Nice. Well, let's see. Marina's watching Alfonso currently. Why don't we go look at Salesian, since Salesian has this kind of tendency to deliver late game. See what Salesian's up to. Looks like they're still working on this like character encoding stuff, which, I mean, you could spend weeks and months on character encoding bugs, but we see on the left side here in well, not anymore, but we did see on the left side in the request an encoded encoded setup. And so here, looking at these Unicode issues, and Dade, I'll just kind of add on to your comment about writing for yourself. That's exactly the same approach that I take. Is I'm just trying to make songs that I want to listen to in the future, right? And so it's totally fine if nobody else appreciates the lyrics that I write, as long as the song comes out, I'm good.
Yep.
It looks like, are we getting rated right now?
Yeah,
by the Brazilians?
they just let our they just let our link there in their main screen. So welcome y'all, Brazilians. E aí, galera, chega mais. The Brazilians are invading our chat right now, so welcome y'all. You just missed us talking about cybercrime and getting caught by the FBI and
Or not getting caught.
and DEFCON fellows showing up, but you're always welcome.
I don't know anything in Portuguese, so hola, aloha, konnichiwa.
You can always say
hello.
It's just very simple. You say e aí.
E aí.
There you go. E aí, carai.
That's pretty good.
Cachaça caralho.
Cachaça, carai.
Y'all are getting too far ahead now. I'm gonna have to let that little owl on my phone yell at me about some language for a while to figure out what's going on.
Oh, the funny thing about Brazilians is that they laugh with K's, because in Brazilian Portuguese, the K sounds like ka. So if you put a bunch of K's, and beside each other, you get ka 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 ka. Okay. But in any other place in the world, if you put too many K's beside each other, that might mean KKK. Which is
true.
not a good thing, So Brazilians out there, if you're listening to this, if you're going to any to any foreign chat, do not laugh with KKK. you know?
2Ks is okay. 3Ks is bad. 4Ks, you're good again. It's just you just gotta. If you're gonna do it, just slam down and go till it doesn't go no more. There
you go. This is a very healthy laughter for the internet. There you go.
I played a lot of MMOs when I was growing up. I'm familiar with the different laugh syntax. There's also JA.
Yeah, that's Spanish. Yeah.
Hugh is my favorite one. That's how I say it. I don't know how to actually say it, but
we say hue be.
Oh, I like to just say Hugh. That's I got that one from League of Legends, hands down. Like that one definitely was like I learned that in League of Legends games.
Oh boy.
Unrelated, but on the topic of like K sounding like ka, the word for 7 in Japanese is na, and so you just na, like 3 7s is na Batman, so my favorite little tidbit there. I'm 60 days into Japanese lessons and I know like 4 words. So
you've done the most important lessons, which is like how to troll the internet in Japanese.
Yeah, I'm in it for the memes, man. I'm in it for the memes.
Oh boy.
Going back to music for 1 second, that's something I'm getting into is like meme music. Like there's this whole genre of like super upbeat. And it's like a lot of like doo-wop type songs that they turn into instrumentals, and it's just like the most ridiculous stuff, and I love it.
I just saved it the other day. I just saved like a country music, which is like named "Calm Down, Karen." It is just so good. I'm not that big fan of country music, but the lyrics are just so good.
Yeah, it's my jam. I think I'm not allowed to see the scoreboard anymore.
Yeah,
they do that.
The scoreboard.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that in the
sometimes.
Yeah, gotcha. in the last 10 or 15 minutes, the scoreboard goes down. So if anyone's sitting on flags, this is the moment of desperation for everyone else.
If we go to B is working on some interesting stuff right now. We might want to check out.
All right.
But yeah, don't be surprised if at the end we turn the scoreboard back on and then Alfonso with 0 flags previously now has like all
500 points.
Yeah, so it looks like B has a shell and is actually doing the stuff that we were talking about earlier with upgrading the shell. So here's the pty.spawn. And let's see what happens. So they backgrounded their shell. Now they're doing the stdy stuff. This is a jam. This is the part that I never see anybody else do. I see people do the pty spawn, but they never do the stdy. And this is like what gets you the full featured TTY, so you can do like tab completion and live your life like a true hacker, as you deserve. B. B did not set the term environment variable. I think usually I do something like xterm 256 colors or something like that. But still, so B's got this shell looking through source code. I feel like B's probably pretty close. Unnecessary cat. You could just grep you can grep the file directly.
Can't use cat like that. That's abusive cat.
Did you ever see Egypt in WVU's? I always forget how his name is pronounced, but they did like a Bash shell tricks presentation at DEF CON, and
yes.
Every time, like every little thing, they're like unnecessary use of cat.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's his. It's B's.
Oh wow, the Brazilian channel just got up to 450 viewers. That is a new record for them. That's super cool. Congrats.
Dope.
Go Brazilian
All right, so
hackers.
B's about to get this flag. I feel like why don't we bounce and see what somebody else is up to, so we don't rob the flag inadvertently.
Big Zero Us is saying, "I've never stayed so long in FFUF." FF, right? I'm sorry, I'm a noob. I keep saying
Foof. It's a 4-letter F word, so you pronounce it like one.
Yes. With all of the exactly, with all the vitriol. Let's see, Dade, who should we go look at? You're looking at Silesian currently, yeah?
Yeah, I popped over. I like to switch around a lot just in case I missed something. They need like a Discord mode so that I can just have all of them. Like I want everybody's screen at once.
Yeah, and then there needs to be like a Discord plugin where it's like, oh, you've got like a flag on the screen. It just does like OCR of like all the text on the on the hacker screen, and it's like flag alert on this other channel.
That's a lot of work.
It's just OCR. Come on.
It sounds great for somebody else
on a free app.
Yeah. I guess that's true though. Like Discord is pretty extensible. If you can write it in JavaScript, you can do it on your Discord. So, sorry, I'm not a part of a team that destroys reCAPTCHA, buddy. So,
Alfonso just have a giant B going on in his screen right now. So. So I guess he is cheering for B.
Maybe like Alfonso's screen share is in a VM and they're like getting flags in a separate VM.
Oh, maybe,
but that's illegal. He cannot do that.
I was watching Alfonso and I left because he started bringing up B's. And I was like, all right, well, let me just that might be like, I don't know, that might be some Brazilian thing telling me to buzz off, So I was like, all right, I'll get out of here for you, but
it's just his way of cheering for his little friend. Oh, whoever was in room 4 gave up, I guess.
Oh, okay. Or maybe they ran into a connectivity issue.
Yeah, if that's the case, that's really unfortunate in the last 10 minutes of the competition. Oh, yay.
But yeah, folks in the chat, folks watching, we are almost 10 minutes away from the competition ending, at which point we go and raid the Brazilian portion where we get an interview with the winner and kind of a walkthrough from the creators of all the challenges and how they were intended to be solved. So all of the curiosity that you've been building along with us tonight as to like what the heck is going on, we're going to get all those answers. Just be sure to stay with us. And don't worry, it's in English as well as Brazilian Portuguese. So not only can you sharpen your hacker skills, you can also sharpen your language skills at the same time.
Exactly. Because, you know, as any hacker, we do like to have proficiency or at least learn a little bit about more than one language, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I program in C, C++, Python.
I knew you were going to get me. I knew it. That's why I'm married to you. Oh, boy.
Hey, 80, if you start learning Portuguese and you know are pretty proficient in it, does that mean we're gonna see a bilingual Int 80 song, a bilingual dual core track, dual language track? Like that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, Duolingo core.
Yes, Duolingo.
Sponsor us, Duolingo. Sponsor us.
Yeah, and amazingly, there's a ton of really good Brazilian hip hop. Actually, I have like a huge Brazilian hip hop Spotify playlist. There's my favorite Brazilian hip hop group is called Quinto Andar. They don't exist anymore, but their name means fifth floor, and they have this album that is like right on par with my favorite underground hip hop album of all time. The cohesion between the rappers is really good. It's got the like underground boom bap feel to it. It's an incredible album, and very unexpectedly, Marina and I went to this bar that's just kind of like tucked away in this like side alley, kind of behind his like buildings in Sao Paulo. And the guy that runs the bar, he is friends with one of the rappers from the group Quinto Andar. The rapper's name is Gilevi. So the folks in the chat that are Brazilian, you might know Gilevi, and I emailed him with a track, and hopefully we can get a song together at some point in the future, which would be really dope. So we would have the bilingual. I mean, it wouldn't be me rapping in Portuguese; it would be the actual Brazilian rapping in Portuguese, but it would be a bilingual track with Portuguese rap in it.
We are now watching the Brazilian live, but we are doing that unintentionally because we are actually watching Salesian's screen. So Salesian is watching the stream as we are watching him. I think he's just waiting. Everyone's waiting on B and Afonso to, you know. I think maybe Afonso gave up, and we are all waiting for B to win.
Maybe. Yeah. Why don't we go back over to B? It looks like they're still working in that shell, and it looks like they've got a root shell, actually.
I like smashing the enter button to hide the fact that you were in Nano.
Yeah.
Nano for life. That's my jam.
Nah.
I'm about that life.
VI 666. I'm about that life.
Okay, I didn't know that about VI, but that's actually really cool. So I'll give you that
one. Team B in the chat. Yeah. So I mean, B's got this root shell. Like, what's going on here? Like, at this point, I would expect to see a bunch of flags. They're root on the instance. So it looks like, to me, this looks like a EC2 instance based on the 172 IP space. Yeah, here we go. Using RG, which is like a version of grep, but it doesn't search certain things. I think it's kind of like a faster version of grep. But yeah,
that'd be nice. Skip out on like /proc and stuff automatically. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, well, there can be stuff in proc sometimes. Like sometimes you what if you had a flag in like an environment, or it was like through a file descriptor or something like that.
That's fair. I guess I just I wish that I could automatically send standard error to the bin is all,
Be getting a flag right now. Watch this.
All
Here it
right.
comes. Let's see what it is. Medium, loot.
Oh no.
Oh, incorrect.
Wait. Oh, that was.
Oh, it was
that
correct.
rude. That was rude.
We got the hard one. Nice.
All right,
And
so he now has 400 points. I think maybe he's leading the scoreboard because we have not seen anyone else, near root as we have seen B. So we might have watched just now he winning tonight's match 5 minutes away from, the ending of our CTF here. So that is pretty cool. I really like that. That touch.
I'm a
That
fan.
was a style touch.
And here I am celebrating accordingly.
I don't have any celebrations in my
I
my
think
office.
I have some art.
Well, your T-shirt says to cease your celebrations.
Yes, that's true.
I have some there you go. Some changing colors of my RGB shit.
I don't even have that. I can turn my colors off. Like I can go all red. Or I can go all blue.
Oh boy. All right. I think B maybe is going for the mid flag now just for the fun of it since we're in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, and kind of doing that same CTF tactic that we talked about where you just kind of, once you've got the access, you scan across the entire system looking for flags. We saw B download RIP grep, which is that faster version of grep, and or allegedly faster. I don't know. I mean, how can you get faster than grep? I don't understand it. I get not searching Git directories or stuff like that, but I mean, it's grep. It's literally the fastest search thing.
Yeah, just grep like cat/dev/sda0 pipe grep. You'll get it eventually. If there's anything to be found, you'll find it.
Just run strings on the block device and then grep through that easy.
Yeah. Did you know you can put a block device in tar? By the way, just a little aside, you can put a block device inside of a tar archive. That's
I feel like maybe I've done that with a character device in the past, and I don't know if I've ever done it with a block device. Do you have to pass a different flag for that, like -P or something like that?
I don't think so. I think you can just do it. I remember a couple of years ago, I think at this point, there was actually a bug with Docker that you could have an arbitrary overwrite for an extraction. And as a result of it, was as a result of putting tar inside of a block device or a block device inside of tar, you would be able to extract your own device and then take over the host.
I think the other players are just giving hints to yeah, all the other players are giving hints to him so he can finish the last flag. I think since anyone else could make the other flags. Yeah, they're just cheering for him also. That's really nice to see. Maybe
nice.
Y'all in the chat can't see because the UHC logo is right there, but as you can see, B keeps getting notifications here on the Discord channel of the other players cheering for him and giving him hints on the mid flag, just for the fun of it, just to see if he can actually submit the mid flag in 3 minutes that we have left.
Yeah, and Dave, back to your point about the breakout stuff. I remember way back in the day when I got started, I was like, oh wow, change root jails. These are super dope. They lock everything down, right? And there's a million ways to break out of change root jails. And I remember I thought I knew a good number of them, and then I found GR security, and I did patch a kernel, and I was building my kernel, and then doing the configuration. I was it was oh yeah, protect against change root jail breakouts, and I was oh, okay, cool. And there were twice as many settings in there that I knew about for breakouts, and I was oh my gosh, there's so many different ways.
Yeah, it's wild. Crazy amount of things you can do on Linux. install one wrong package and your whole security like model can just get destroyed like immediately. It's wild.
Yeah, especially the case in modern languages, right? Or like modern packages where think about like NPM as an example, right? You have like NPM and you want some high level thing that's a very common package, but then it's got this huge chain of dependencies, and one of those is like unmaintained or has been taken over by somebody and then has like malicious code in it. And now all of a sudden there is like a backdoor running in your ecosystem, even though like nothing with your work actually changed.
Yep. Yeah.
So those supply chain attacks are always really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
To the same extent, I feel like that's an issue with Golang, right? Because you can do like go get something and then it's just going to pull in like a bunch of like other GitHub repos. But if something happened where that initial GitHub repo went down or got taken over or whatever, is not maintained, and somebody else like was able to make changes there, now all of a sudden just got this backdoor like laying in your system.
Yeah, I never liked that about Go. Like I kind of like, I like almost like the transparency of it. Like it's, exactly where the package is coming from. That's cool. But on the other hand, just like codifying, pulling random packages off of GitHub as the norm for the language seemed weird. But I've heard they're making some strides on that to do certain like, checksumming and hashing and stuff like that to like not necessarily sign it, but not pull a wrong version. Like once you have a good version. So
1 minute to go.
Absolutely.
1 minute,
or less.
guys.
Right?
It's just 1 minute now.
Why are we whispering?
We are ASMRing.
Hack the planet.
All right, we have just reached the end of our CTF. And we are going to join our Brazilian folks in the Brazilian Live to interview the winner. We think it's B. All the other players were helping him try to get the mid flag since it's the only one that has been missing in the competition. But if you want to know how he got all the flags, how he got root, join us in the Brazilian chat and in the Brazilian Live. We are going to do a raid with everyone that's here, so you don't have to do nothing. Just stay with us, and you're going to be automatically transported to the Brazilian Live, and we'll meet you there. We'll meet you right there in the chat with y'all. So it was really nice to having y'all with us, and I hope you enjoyed UHC in English with all of us with dual core music, Int80 from dual core and Date. So we'll see you on the Brazilian Live. Thank y'all.
Yeah, stick with us for all the answers.
All right. And that's the end of the broadcast.
Okay. I'm going to join the Brazilian